Just 5 miles from the big stage of the Brickyard sits the track smaller in size, but for drivers not in stature. What was Indianapolis Raceway Park is now Lucas Oil Raceway. A win here means headlines on a weekend when everyone is watching. Peters is back in. He hurt so good while Witt is crumbling down, dropping one. Busher moves up to ROCK in the USA. Dillon coming off a wild night while Sauter is still the authority. We're in Indiana, a little ode to John Cougar Mellencamp. Now that the NFL season is back on, this city is abuzz. Indy will host the 2012 Super Bowl. And it's only 12 miles from Lucas Oil Stadium to Lucas Oil Raceway. Tonight, this great sports town throws a Hail Mary at one of the most historic little tracks in all of racing. The setup, presented by Polaris, is on. From the gridiron to the grid, welcome to the setup. I'm Krista Voda. To be the best when the flag falls is a Friday night way of life. And this little track has been a part of that lifestyle for 51 years. Ray Dunlap and Hermie Sadler are covering the pits as they always do for our Truck Series broadcast. They will be talking to all your favorite drivers. They have the latest of what's going on from the corral.
Well, Krista, when you want to win on a short track, there are 3 things that you have to have. You have to have track position, you have to have track position, and you have to have track position. When we come to a short track that's a one-day show, they pick the pits before the race gets started, so qualifying normally doesn't matter. But today, number 1 pit stall had an X on it on that grid that we looked at. What was that for? Well, it was because the pole winner gets to pick pit stall number 1, and that will go to the 3 team. Austin Dillon will have the best spot on pit road and the best spot when he leads them to the green. Hermie?
Well, Ray, we're going to sneak up on Max Pappas here having a drink of water. Max, you're in the corral. Congratulations. Now, you don't look any better than you did last time I saw you, but you don't smell like smoke, so...
Absolutely. Last week, we were on fire, literally on fire, but we are promising you that tonight with the Geico truck, we're going to go to the front. This is a very difficult racetrack. I love it. My first ever time here. You need laps here to be fast. I think that we tuned our truck a little bit on the safe side. We were a little bit too tight in qualifying, but I know that Randy Goss and my guys here in the Geico team, they're ready to give me something special.
And Chris, I like the way he says, you got to have laps to go faster here at Aaa.
I love it. I love that you ambushed him, too. Thanks, Hermie. This is race number 13 of 25 in our season. We are halfway through, and our championship battle is just getting good. The Cup Series was off last week. We were not. Here's a look back at our last race in Nashville.
Third start up front this year. Green flag in the air. A great start for Austin Dillon. Up for the lead. Here comes Timothy Peters to the inside.
Looks like Timothy's going to have it. Austin's going to give it to him.
Oh, leaders almost sideways. Timothy Peters in the 17. And the caution comes out with just 49 laps to go.
I think everybody in Nashville, except for Timothy Peters, wanted to see that caution.
The big question was, will anyone gamble and only go 2 tires here?
3, 2, 1, 2 tires, guys, 2 tires, 6 seconds of fuel.
Austin Dillon, he is in pit stall number 1. They go with 2 tires, and Dillon's going to get all that track position.
Everybody shake it off. You got the best truck out there. We'll get them.
Green flag just back in the air. Johnny Sauter goes to the inside of Austin Dillon, takes the top spot away.
Ooh, looks like Max Pappas.
Blowing up
big time.
You see Max wave to the crowd.
What about Austin Dillon on those 2 tires? He's battling Johnny Sauter for the lead. Austin closes in on the tailgate.
There it is. Come on.
Dillon's taking the spot away from Johnny Sauter. So Dillon back in front of the field.
I think these fans love seeing that black number 3 truck driving to victory here in Nashville.
Yeah, baby! Woo! How about this move? He's got good form right up until this point.
Okay, we are not letting Austin off the hook just yet, but first looking at our Ford points, 3rd through 10th are separated by just 39. It's so tight. Sauter leads Dillon by 18. And speaking of Austin Dillon, as Ray told us, first pit stall, they are on the pole once again, on the pole when they won that race in Nashville. And I know everyone's giving him a hard time about that celebration. Let's go ahead and take another look at it, his celebratory slide. And in Austin's defense, I mean, the paint is used the same that used in traffic markings. It dries in about 10 minutes. It dries pretty well, apparently. The good news for Camping World, that logo received tons of airtime, including from our friends at Race Hub on Speed. Tuesdays, Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer, always gives out cigar awards and crying towels. Well, this past Tuesday, his entire focus was on Austin Dillon.
A cigar award to Austin. Hey, great win in the trucks Friday night on 2 tires. Hey, he really established himself this weekend. And then, how about this saving a nationwide race? Whee! And he held on to finish 3rd. Very impressive. But, as you mentioned, Danielle, the post-race annex. I'm just not too sure what he was thinking here. I thought he was just really excited and he forgot his truck running to get the guitar, and ooh, that got to be the worst celebration I've seen since Kurt Busch's Snow Angel. Ooh, can anyone imagine anybody besides a Busch doing something so stupid? Even nice guy Carl Edwards mocked poor Austin the night before. Jeez, ooh, hey, I'll bet you Austin wishes his truck had this much grip every week. He'd be winning nonstop. So, it's time for the return of the Straitjacket Award. Because, Austin, you gotta be crazy if you thought sliding across the grass like that was going to turn out well.
How's that for a slide, old man? This place stinks, man.
You just can't see that enough. You never know what you'll see on Race Hub. That's why you need to watch Monday through Thursday, 7 Eastern on Speed. Okay, all of that is great, but here on the setup, we dig even deeper. We have faith in Austin Dillon. We know he can turn in a good slide. We know because we've seen him do it when he was 3 years old. Taking a look at this video, courtesy of the Dillon family, this is Austin. His father, Mike Dillon, set up a homemade slip and slide in their backyard. I'm not even sure if Austin knows we have this, but this is proof that given the right circumstances, Austin Dillon and Father Mike can slide with the best of them. Oh, Ray.
Now that is one redneck slip and slide you guys had set up there.
That is so wrong. I'm getting you, Mom.
We've had a lot of fun with your dive into the grass, in case you haven't noticed.
Well, I'm a slip and slide king. What can I say? That's me. Hopefully tonight we can slip and slide and win this race. So it's going to be a good race tonight. The Bass Pro Shops team has done a great job this weekend. Like I said earlier in my interviews, this is not one of my favorite tracks to come to, and they've got me a truck I can race tonight, so I'm looking forward to it. You
know, we saw a lot of different lines on this racetrack in practice today, and we've traditionally seen a lot of people go up high. Any chance you're going up there, or are you going to be a bottom feeder?
Just wherever the truck's working. It's been working really well lower on the racetrack than most, so hopefully we can keep it down there. If it moves up, we got to move up and just follow the groove. My brother was really good here last night on the top, so watched him pass people and really work traffic well, so hopefully we can do the same.
We are sending somebody out to get you a snorkel mask and a snorkel if you do want to jump in the lake later. We'll watch that one too.
I'll get in it if we win at this place.
All right, good luck. That is Austin Dillon on the pole tonight, and I think a little embarrassed after we showed him that video.
Oh, he shouldn't be. That was so cute. And there we see the pond here at Lucas Oil Raceway, where Austin has said if he wins the race, he will get wet and jump in the water. And this is actually Austin watching that video. He did not know that his family gave that up and gave that to us.
So wrong.
But what a great memory, the slip and slide when he was 3 years old. Coming up on the setup, get to know one of the hottest rookies in racing. When it comes to having a top-notch support system, Parker can't lose. Plus, 17 years ago, this track opened its doors to the flatbeds. The response was unbelievable. We'll take a look back. And he's a former winner of this race, but what is series veteran Rick Crawford doing now? We will catch up with one of the good guys when the setup returns. The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. And brought to you in part by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything you need for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. And in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. From Speedway to Claremont, the distance is only 10 miles, but the path a driver has to take to get from one track to the other can literally take years. But that path can start right here tonight. Last night in 2 USAC events and an ARCA race, 3 winners were crowned. Cody Swanson, Kyle Larson, and Ty Dillon just may be the next Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, or Kevin Harvick. 17 years ago, this track hosted its first NASCAR truck race, and it was one of the hottest tickets in town. Here's a look back in the vault.
We're at Indianapolis Raceway Park, the NASCAR Super Truck Series, coming here on a hot and humid August night.
In the inaugural truck race at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Mike Skinner led the field to green for the 6th time of the 1995 season. Skinner had led every lap when the trucks came to pit road for the 5-minute halftime break.
We're trying to figure out what to do at halftime here. We realize that those guys are going to work on theirs and probably get them a little bit better. And we're afraid to touch it and afraid not to.
Skinner had led the entire race when Steve Portengay spun right in front of him with 8 laps to go.
Skinner got through that by the skin of his teeth.
While Mike Skinner was driving lights out by leading every lap, Gary St. Amant was literally driving lights out. With 9 trucks battling for the 2nd spot on the final lap, St. Amant made contact with another truck, sending him into an infield light pole. With half the track in darkness, Skinner claimed the victory in the most dominant way possible by starting on the pole, leading every lap, and taking over the points lead.
We're on 4 wins at this racetrack, a good qualifying run, and I know you guys want to get another solid finish to get this thing pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, we definitely do. Everybody's been working hard at KHI, and we just need to turn around. The Vlasic Pickles Chevrolet's really good. We need to do good, and Kroger come aboard, and the Harry Gatton paint scheme. How's that? That's pretty cool. So we're looking forward to it tonight.
That's Ron Hornet. He rolls off 5th and got a lot of fine memories of this racetrack.
Well, another guy, Hermie, that's done really well at this racetrack over the years would be Johnny Sauter, our point leader in this series. I heard you say on the radio earlier today that it's such a fine balance between loose and tight. What do you think the racetrack will do tonight, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, we're banking on it tightening up a little bit. Obviously, it's a lot cooler than it was when we practiced. But the Safe Auto Carrier Curb Record Chevy's been really fast right off the truck. We were top of the board for a while, and if we do everything right tonight and just keep up with the racetrack, I think we'll have a shot at it. But like you said, all day long I was either loose or tight. We were just on that razor's edge. So I know Joe Shear and the boys will tune it up for me. And like you said, good racetrack for us. And what a great place. One of my favorite short tracks of all time. And I always get a good crowd here. So looking forward to it.
Hurry to driver intros. Krista, remember back in '94, he almost pulled off a surprise victory as an independent right here at this racetrack.
Right as he was talking, I was just thinking back to that race. The last 2 Rookie of the Year winners here in the Truck Series, Johnny Sauter and Austin Dillon, and now they are 1-2 in points. A driver hoping to follow in their footsteps, possibly blaze a trail all his own, is rookie Parker Kligerman. PK drives for BK, and so much more.
I think in 2011 we may have the best class of rookies that I've ever seen in this division, and a guy that's leading that class, Parker Kligerman. He's driving the number 29 for Brad Keselowski.
He came into the sport as a driver who, didn't bring money at any point and has relied on his talents to get to where he's at. And I think that's really impressive to me.
I was about 9 years old, and I started searching through the channels, and I found the Speed Channel. Saw these kids go-karting, and I looked at it and said, I need to be doing that. Did that all by myself for the first 3 years, and turned to my dad and I said, just give me 1 year to go to cars. Help me out for 1 year, and after that I will figure it out myself. I know I can. After that first year, I broke a lot of records in the series I did, won the championship, and after that I was able to work my way up the ladder a little bit.
In 2009, one of the greatest championships I've ever seen happened in the ARCA series between Justin Lofton and Parker Kligerman.
Out of turn 4, Parker Kligerman wins the race. Can he win the championship? No! Justin Lofton will be your 2009 ARCA REMAX Series champion.
If we made up a story that said a guy's going to come get 9 wins, lead the most laps to the last race of the year, and lose by 5 points, nobody'd ever believe it.
It was heartbreaking, but, I look at it as we were the most successful team. I think that we're in the business of winning races. If we were able to go out and do the same thing in the trucks, I'd be just as happy. I came into this opportunity thinking, it was the last opportunity I'd ever get, and I had to make the most of it right away, and that just wasn't true. Coming out of Dover, we were run 3rd, I went for 2nd, 8 to go, spun out, finished 21st. None of my team were happy with me. Brad was especially not happy with me, and I kind of took a step back and looked at it and said, what are you doing? You had a 3rd place in the bag that would put you top 5 in points, and here you go and throw it away. And from then on out, I've kind of taken the approach of let the race come to me. This is the coolest thing I've done so far in my career. It's been in one of the top 3 NASCAR series, racing for a championship and racing week to week, And I think it's what all the kids aspire to be. And right now we're at the 3rd rung, but hopefully we can march up the hierarchy to the top.
Well, Parker Kligerman, we're in the truck, and this guy driving the truck just qualified a track record, I'm sure. But congratulations on your season so far. When are we going to take that next step and get to victory lane?
Well, yeah, first off, this making it alive around this lap there was the first step to getting victory lane. But obviously, we have a great Penske truck runner Ram here over the last few weeks, and today's just like every other day. We're moving again, I guess. Oh, here we go. But today we started off kind of our normal self, kind of thrashing to get better and better. But we entered that second practice, and over the long run, we were awesome. And we didn't qual quite as good as we'd hoped. I thought we really had a top 3 truck for that. I might have overdrove it a little bit in the 3. But I'm excited about the race tonight. I think this is going to be great. We got a great crowd on hand, and, hopefully this isn't the last race here at Lucas Oil Raceway, but if it is, we want to win it.
And no kidding about it. This guy in this truck took us around here in about 28 seconds flat, and he's not done yet. Booth?
Hermie, just hang on. We're just glad you made it so far. Parker Kligerman, definitely one to watch. So is James Busher. He's riding a streak of 8 straight top 10 finishes. In his 2 truck races here, he has finished 5th and 6th. He also finished 3rd in the ARCA race last night and is planning on doing triple duty with the nationwide race tomorrow as well. A great night for racing, a great crowd on hand, and we are just getting warmed up. More of the setup next. The setup is presented by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. Brought to you in high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com and by your locally owned Citgo, fueling good.
Rick Crawford wins his first race on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Crawford goes down low. He tries to get it back. And they're coming on the line. It's Rick Crawford making the pass. And Crawford wins the Daytona 250. As he comes out of turn number 4, Rick Crawford is going to win the Kroger 250.
I told a couple of rookies today some message on how to run Martinsville. At the end of the message, I told them, I said, get out of my way because I'm on a mission today.
Rick Crawford will win the Sylvania 200. That's what I'm talking about. It is all Rick Crawford and ORP. Crawford will win in Indiana.
And that win came on August 4th, 2006. A great crowd on hand. That is one of the special features of this track, the Turn 1 seating. Fans come out early, bring their chairs and blanket, and mark their spot. Welcome back. This is our spot. To get to Lucas Oil Raceway, you head west on Crawfordsville Road. This weekend it's under construction, perhaps poetic since Rick Crawford isn't here. But what is the one-time owner of the most consecutive starts in the Truck Series doing now? We asked him.
Rick Crawford is an icon in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series garage. And he was one that really set the tone that here is a viable series in motorsports, and yes, we can make a living at this.
I have to be honest. When I first seen in Phoenix, Arizona, personally, a truck race, I'm like, I really don't want to do that. How can you get excited about racing a truck? Well, let me tell you, folks, you just have to be in one.
And big crash. Oh, there they go. Holy cow. It's a drag race.
The Truck Series has its own identity. We put on a great show.
If the Truck Series is a show, then Rick Crawford is its longest-running act. For over a decade, he played the role of Iron Man, starting more races than any other driver. His most memorable start came on NASCAR's biggest stage in 2003.
I wasn't feeling very good. The day before the race and the morning of, I had gotten some food poisoning and had to go to the infield care center for a couple of bags of IV. But I tell you what, a good truck, a fast race car, anything like that can actually cure you for a little while.
2 Dodges lined up on the high side. Rick Crawford on the low side.
I'm leading the race, and here comes 2 Dodges beside me, Bobby Hamilton and Robert Presley. All of a sudden, I'm like, I think I just lost this race. I look up ahead, there's Robert Presley. He's done pulled out about 10 car lengths.
Robert Presley out in front. He's going to be able to block Crawford and stay on the bottom.
I'm like, maybe we can try the old slingshot move. Shoot to the bottom. Maybe it'll work. We'll see what happens. It happened.
Presley dodging to the high side. Crawford goes down low. He tries to make it back as they're coming to the line.
Down to the inside, beat them to the line by that much.
It's Rick Crawford making the pass, and Crawford wins the Daytona 250.
Although his Daytona win made him a truck legend, Crawford's consistency defines his legacy. Between 1997 and 2009, he missed only one race. Even after a devastating wreck at Atlanta, the show went on.
The left front wheel of my truck actually came inside where the pedals are and everything, and stuck the throttle wide open. I realized something was wrong because it felt like one of my feet was on fire, but my hair wasn't messed up too bad.
And I said, Rick, take the week off. No, I can't take the week off. I need to prove to people that the reason that people love running the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is because we are tough drivers, we got tough trucks, and we're going to keep going on.
He comes back the next week to win Martinsville. That just tells you how tough he is. Crawford's a tough cookie.
Just having consistent starts was an accomplishment to being with a great team and a good owner. I had offers to drive in the Nationwide Series. I had an offer to run a cup car. But it was like, where would I be after a year of that? I'm loyal, I'm brand loyal, and I was loyal to my boss. And I stayed in the truck series.
With only 8 starts in the past year, Crawford's racing career is on hold.
I'm back here in my hometown, Mobile, Alabama, and I'm promoting and managing a racetrack. You have to entertain the fans, and the best way to entertain the fans is put on a show. I'm by no means retired. I'm waiting on the next best gig.
There you go, sweetie.
Up to this point, I think I've had a great career. And I'll tell you what makes a career. It's the people you race against. It's the fans. It's the series you're in. It's all part of a production. And I've had a great time.
And we had a great time watching him. Like we said, one of the good guys. One of the drivers not in the field tonight, no Kyle Busch. Driving the 18 instead is Josh Richards. He comes in with some momentum, winning a World of Outlaws late model feature this week. This will be his first truck race here, although he did participate in a rain-shortened ARCA test here in June. Another driver to watch, Elliott Sadler. He's on the front row alongside Austin Dillon. He was just speaking to Austin Dillon a few moments ago. Sprint Cup driver Clint Boyer also here talking to Elliott Sadler as we speak. We will wrap up the setup next.
Next week, the Camping World Truck Series visits the Tricky Triangle of Pocono Raceway. Last year was the first ever truck race at Pocono, and Elliott Sadler took home his first truck win. With the youth movement in full swing, will it be time for another first-time winner? Tune in to find out. Chris Devoto hosts the setup starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by flag-to-flag coverage, only on Speed.
Big one next week. Trucks going back to Pocono, but all eyes are on Indy Nationwide Series racing here tomorrow, while the Sprint Cup drivers write another chapter in history Sunday at the Brickyard. Historically, starting up front means everything at this track. It's tight, it's tough, it's time. All roads lead to Victory Lane. We will be there waiting. The Aaa Insurance 200 starts now.
Tonight, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series hits the midpoint of the season with our 13th battle set in the backyard of the Brickyard.
Ron Hornaday's going to win again. Holding off Kyle Busch. Ron just put him away.
So far, we've only just seen a slice of the unexpected. So far, we've only felt a portion of the pain.
She rolled down in the corner. It just didn't stick.
We've only witnessed a fraction of the drama.
Johnny Sauter's in front. He's been black flagged. It will be the win for Ron Hornaday.
Johnny headed back to the garage. Comment.
God bless America.
With 13 drivers separated by just 100 points in the championship, the second leg of the season will still be our better half.
At the halfway point of the season, the trucks come to a familiar venue, a short track that's been on the schedule since the very first year, 1995. Welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Aaa Insurance 200 on Speed. Starting up front at Lucas Oil Raceway has proven to be vital if you want to win at this track. Ron Hornaday has won here 4 times before, and each win came from a top 5 starting spot. Tonight, he starts 5th. The most popular starting spot on their way to victory lane here in Indy is from the pole, and Austin Dillon locked that up earlier today, and he's coming off his first win of the season at Nashville a week ago. Momentum is on his side as we close in on the start of the 13th race of the season. Let's kick things off with our pre-race ceremonies.
Our colors are presented by the U.S. Army Indianapolis Recruiting Battalion's Metro South Recruiting Company. And here to give the invocation, the chaplain of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, Mr. Jim Lanning.
Let's stand and pray. Our Father in heaven, we are truly grateful for you making yourself known through the person of Jesus Christ. Thank you for your sovereignty and your watch care over us. And Father, we're thankful for our country that we had the freedom to be here tonight to enjoy motorsports. And Father, we pray your blessing upon this race tonight, this NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race. God, we just pray that every competitor can do their very best. Keep them all safe. And Father, thank you for all our armed forces that work so hard to keep us safe here in America. And most of all, Lord, I thank you for Jesus Christ. For my faith in him, I can have eternal life and an abundant life. In his name I pray. Amen.
And now to sing the national anthem, from the Indianapolis Metro Police Department, Officer Chris Wilburn.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light was so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in a gay proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say to us that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Officer!
Great crowd on hand. Drivers are strapping in. We're going short track racing where the series was born. Lucas Oil Raceway, the green flag and the engine's fired. Coming up next. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything you need for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By Herculiner, truck bed liners. With Herculiner, the tough comes easy. In high definition by Funai. Funai, fun and innovative. Experience more at FunaiAmerica.com. And by the Roundup brand. Kills weeds to the root so they don't come back. Welcome back to Lucas Oil Raceway. We go back down to pit road and Chris Devoda for tonight's storylines.
All right, thanks, Rick. And we have so many reasons to watch this race tonight, but we are going to give you our top 3. Routes, real estate, and rookies. Let's start with Roots. This is old school short track racing at its best. A tight track where anything can happen. And one of the reasons anything can happen, because of that lack of real estate. There's nowhere to go. So keep your eye on guys like the 3 and 13. Austin Dillon and Johnny Sauter. They are battling for supremacy in the series. This track could make or break their title run. And perhaps never in the history of this series or any other have we had as talent-filled of a rookie class. Across the board, guys like Cole Witt, Parker Kligerman, they will be racing at the Brickyard someday and possibly someday soon. And remember, our last 2 rookies of the year, Johnny Sauter and Austin Dillon, are now 1-2 in points. So at this race pays as many points as any other, speaking of points, but it doesn't feel like any other. And these drivers know it. You want to see the next generation of Sprint Cup stars. They are racing here tonight. This track hosts Open Wheel Series, where the likes of Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon got their start. The drivers, as they climb into their trucks, like Elliott Sadler, know if you win here, you've done something special, and you have done it on a weekend when all eyes are on this city. And it all starts with this track tonight. Excitement, exposure, exhilaration, they all come together at America's Crossroad, and it all begins with tonight's command.
And now, with the most famous words in racing, Larry Barnett, the Senior Vice President of AAA Hoosier Insurance.
Drivers, start your engines.
Okay, bud, go ahead.
Fired up.
Timothy, we're predicting 44.
Where's the guy in the truck right now? It's God who's wearing them.
The engines have fired. The drivers' adrenaline is through the roof. A great crowd on hand. They know this track is like no other. It's a piece of history. Who will make history tonight? Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip, take it away.
Thanks, Christy. You mentioned adrenaline and electricity. When we come to Lucas Oil Raceway, I think there is just an added amount of adrenaline at this racetrack. Phil, you've been a track record holder here. Michael, you've won the pole. You've won a race here. What makes this so special?
She talked about the adrenaline for the drivers is through the roof. Mine is too. Did you hear the fireworks go out? You feel this crowd? Just the excitement of this event. It's huge. We're in Indy, and all the racing's world's eyeballs are on this little city, on this little short track. And Phil, this place never disappoints. There's a lot of room in the corners, but they come off the turn and they all run into each other.
They sure do. And this racetrack makes you want to run the top of the racetrack because that's where the grip is. But it's so inviting down below there. There's another 40 or 50 feet down below the top groove, but they're all going to be fighting for the exact same real estate when they come off the corner. Really hard to get the power down when you go underneath somebody. All the guys talking about the top groove, which is where we normally run here, not really there as well as it usually is. So that means this racetrack now all of a sudden becomes a third as wide as it was before. So there's going to be a lot of beating and banging here, and it's going to be exciting.
Oh, yeah. Short track racing, old school style. Take a look at our weather. 85 degrees now. It was upwards of 95 earlier today when we were practicing and qualifying. The humidity still very high, and we have a chance of rain. There's been overcast skies ever since we qualified earlier today. A breeze of 16 miles per hour. Our starting grid will roll across the top of the screen. Once again, Austin Dillon will bring this field to the green flag. It will be an impressive start, though, because he'll have Elliott Sadler beside him, a veteran that will be trying to get a win on a short track. His only Truck Series win coming at Pocono a year ago. Take a look at our race analysis and track description of Lucas Oil Raceway.
See, this race is 200 laps longer. Pit window somewhere between 100 110. All the guys in the garage area say it's going to be a two-stop race. But banking in the corners, that's where it's key. It may be 7.5 up top, but it's a lot less than that at the bottom.
Yeah, it's basically nothing at the bottom, Phil, but that's the short way around, and that's where a lot of these guys are going to be looking. Like you said earlier, the talk in the garage area is these tires will work really low on the track. We've never seen that before, so we don't know what kind of race we're going to see.
Trucks are rolling onto the racetrack, and a weathered racetrack this is. It's an old one. It has a lot of, we talk about personality and history and characteristics, and this one is no different and actually has a lot of characteristics.
Oh, and one of the cool things about this track is the high lane. You never are on a half-mile track where you run right next to the wall. That'll happen some tonight.
Michael, look at that racetrack. You see that yellow line down there? There's going to be trucks down there trying to get that left side below that yellow line, but the other ones are going to be way up against the wall.
Tonight in our Speed Spotlight, we want to shine a light on a few rookies in this series. We'll start off with Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, I want to talk about Parker Kligerman. He's from Westport, Connecticut, and if you saw the setup show today, you learned a little bit more about this young man. But so far this year, I would call it a great maturation process. It's been fun to watch this kid grow. How about 2 back-to-back second-place finishes at Texas and in Kentucky? But I really believe that tonight may be this kid's very best chance to win. He drives a Dodge. They may have an aerodynamic disadvantage, but tonight, that doesn't matter at Indy. Hermie?
Well, Ray, another rookie that's really starting to make some waves in this series is Nelson Piquet Jr. His last 2 finishes, 8th at Iowa, 4th at Nashville. Now, the knock on him earlier this season was he can go fast, but he's not able to finish. He's starting to turn that corner, as Ray said about Parker Kligerman, a maturation process that's really developed him into a contender each and every week. And Nelson says he loves the 1.5-mile racetracks with a lot more room better. But tonight, he thinks he's got a good chance to get victory number 1 right here at Indianapolis. Phil?
Hermie, I would like to take a look at the young man that's second rookie points, 21-year-old Florida driver Joey Coulter. Joey started out in go-karts, winning numerous championships. He then switched over to late models before moving to the ARCA Racing Series for the last 2 years. Joey finished in the top 10 in points both years and had a win last year at Berlin in Michigan. He came to the Truck Series with a very strong RCR team this year. His year started out slow, though, with only 1 top 10 finish in the first 5 races and was 44 points out of the rookie point lead. But after 5 top 10s in a row, he finds himself only 10 points back. Joey's mom, Susan, is doing well after surgery this week, and the entire team wishes her a speedy recovery. Joey starts from the 3rd spot, Mikey.
Thanks, Phil. Let's take a look at the best rookie so far this year, 20-year-old Cole Witt from Alpine, California. 2011 has been a tale of 2 polar opposite seasons for Cole, though. In the first 8 races, a pole at Darlington. What? A pole in the toughest track for a rookie? Yep, that's right. A 2nd and a 3rd at Dover and Charlotte had Cole atop the truck point standings and enjoying a healthy rookie point lead. Life was good. But since then, not so much. In the last 4 races, 3 finishes of 19th or worse has dropped Witt to 4th in the points.
Great pictures from all around this racetrack, as well as on board some of the trucks. We'll ride along with the Toyota-sponsored onboard of Todd Bodine. He'll start 18th in this race.
We're also going to ride along with Parker Kligerman driving Brad Keselowski's Dodge, and Parker will start from the 6th spot.
Let's roll along with Johnny Sauter. He's rolling off from the 4th spot, Phil. And man, if anyone's good at this track, it's Johnny Sauter. Almost won this event back in 04. Got past on the last lap.
The Funai-sponsored onboard of Austin Dillon will start from the number 1 position 5 times before at this racetrack. The person starting from the pole has gone on to win the race. How do you win this race? What is the recipe for success? You want to take a look at our Walmart recipe for success. And to start off with that, we go to Ray.
Well, Rick, I can tell you the recipe I want. If I want to win tonight, I'm going to hire Ron Hornaday to drive my truck. He's got 4 wins, including 3 of the last 4 races right here at this racetrack. He's got an incredibly smooth style around here. And when he won his first race, he only led the final 2 laps. He got a little better after that. He won the final 32. And his last race a year ago, he led the final 48 laps. I look for Hornaday to be up front in that 33 truck. I think he's the man to beat tonight here in Indy. Hermie?
Well, Ray, for Team RCR, it's been teammates. And by that, I mean the elevation of the performance of the 22 of Joey Coulter. I talked to Danny Stockman, the crew chief for Austin Dillon, who won our last race at Nashville. We talked about why that team was turning the corner. He said having a good, solid teammate to bounce ideas off has made that 3 truck even better. Rick?
Thanks, Hermie. All in line, 2 by 2, 36 trucks about to get busy right here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Coming out of turn number 4, green flag in the air. Short track racing underway.
Mikey, I was a little bit surprised Austin chose the inside. I thought he might have chose the outside.
Oh, we got already turn number 1.
Jason White, I believe, against the outside wall.
Is also involved in the 20, as well as that 39 driven by Ryan Sieg. And so the caution comes out right on our first start.
You said they were going to get busy in a hurry? How busy is that?
That's about as quick as you can get busy.
That truck hit hard, too.
He sure did. Look at the damage to Jason's truck. He has really turned his season around the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's going to be a tough night.
You can see there was concrete. It looked like bedded into that left rear wheel. That means that housing is definitely bent. He's going to have some issues there. Or that just might be steel from the safer barrier, but definitely a lot of damage.
We're going to take another look at what happened here. Ryan Sieg and the 39 involved.
There was a contact. Looked like Johanna Long got into Jason really early to be making contact like that. Again, everyone fights for the same real estate, but you got to give each other a little bit of room.
And she just wasn't able to stay off of Jason. Maybe Jason entered a little bit lower than she anticipated, Phil, but you're right. First corner, first lap, there's a lot of room. We've talked about all the room that's over to the left, how low you can go. See what you see from Tom Bodon's on board. You could see Johanna, she just kind of wandered up the track when they got to the first turn and took Jason out.
Almost looked like maybe she got a little bit loose because that put her up about a half a lane higher than she normally would have been there.
So the crew goes to work on the 23. You guys question Austin Dillon starting on the inside or the outside. Well, he gets to choose again. We'll be back for the restart. Welcome back. Aaa Insurance 200 about to get back underway. On the first start, Austin Dillon chose the inside line, and now we've gone a couple laps under caution. He chooses the outside line.
I think he realized that wasn't going to work because he was not going to have that lead when they got down in turn number 3, but the caution came out.
Green flag back in the air. Austin Dillon on the outside. Elliott Sadler on the inside, right behind Dillon. Already we've got contact going into one again between Elliott Sadler and Johnny Sauter.
You can see Johnny taking advantage of being up on the outside of Elliott, making the run on him.
This time, Dillon checks out on that start. Able to get way out in front of Johnny Sauter, who took the second spot away from Elliott Sadler.
You know what I love about this joint, Phil? It's crowded out there. There's nowhere to hide. Look at these trucks. They fill up the whole track. You saw tack smoke there from a couple of the trucks right up front as they entered turn 1. It'll be like that all night long.
And it's amazing how fast these guys go around here. They average almost 110 miles an hour or something like that. Probably, 135 on the straightaways, maybe 140?
In a pickup truck.
In a pickup truck on a little racetrack.
That makes me so happy.
Like Rick Crawford said earlier, I couldn't believe I was going to race a truck after watching him in Phoenix, but sure enough.
How about 3 wide racing here? James Busher makes it 3 wide for a moment, but Ron Hornaday drives it hard in the corner to get out in front of Cole Witt.
See the different lines. We saw James Busher all the way down on the apron of the racetrack. Then we saw Cole Witt way up near the wall as he was coming out through the turn. Different lines. Austin Dillon, the fastest line up to this point. Johnny Sauter running second. Elliott Sadler third. Joey Coulter running in the 4th spot. Parker Kligerman is 5th.
Looked like Ron Hornaday was having to wait to get in the throttle. His truck may be a little bit too tight right now. Cole Witt was really gaining on him through the center of the corner, but now he's pulled out to about a 3-truck length lead.
Look at Matt Crafton down on the bottom of the racetrack trying to take that spot away from Parker Kligerman. Matt's really low. Parker's running the more conventional line, but you got to make it. You got to go where they ain't, as they say, and that's what Matt's doing right now, trying to make it work on the bottom.
Those two battling for the 5th spot. Parker Kligerman in the 29, Crafton in the 88. Crafton on the inside, trying to take that spot away from Kligerman.
And this is a situation you could see these guys run side by side for lap after lap after lap. You see Crafton has to duck in behind. He wasn't able to get the power down coming off the corner. Now he'll probably try it again. He'll move to the inside again, and he's just looking to gain a couple feet each corner. And see right here, Elliott Sadler now was settled into the 3rd spot. Remember, right after that restart, we saw a little bit of contact. Look there, look right side of your screen there. There's Elliott and Johnny Sauter fighting for some space.
Looked like maybe that Elliott had to get on the brakes really hard because of the fact that Sauter was up on the outside. Let's see if he slides a tire on the left front. Yeah, a little bit of smoke out on the left front, and then they bounce off each other.
Even before they made the contact, Elliott slid the tire, and that's what put him up into Johnny.
You know, I think the key to getting a good restart here was Austin picking the outside coming off the 4th turn, because you got some banking there, Phil. It helped him accelerate quickly as soon as they threw that green flag. When you're down on the flat with one of these trucks, they won't dig as well. So he used that bit of banking way up in turn 4 to get him the lead when he got down to turn 1.
And I was really shocked he didn't do it at the very start of the race, and I don't know that the rest of this race that we'll see anybody choose the inside again.
I agree.
Cole Witt holding on to the 8th spot. She's behind him, the 31 of Busher. Then you've got Brendan Gaughan in the 62. David Starr in the 81. A couple of veterans of the Camping World Truck Series right behind them. The reigning champion Todd Bodine in the 5 truck.
And look at these different lines that you see. This is a great shot. Look at Todd all the way down against that yellow line. Makes great time through the center of the corner.
He's below it. He's below the yellow line.
But loses all of his momentum on exit. And so that's why it's so difficult to make a pass. Maybe, Rick, that's why we only had one guy win this race when qualifying outside of the top 5. Oh, and by the way, he qualified 8th. Track position is very key here.
Very key, and strategy, pit strategy is going to come into play early on in this race. We know they can go to lap 110 potentially on fuel, but the track position is going to play the role on who wins that race off of pit road.
Yeah, right now as we watch this battle for the 8th spot between Buscher and the 31, Colwitt and the 60, you know, a lot of times people have parlayed pit strategy, maybe staying out and foregoing their last pit stop for good finishes, but we've never seen one of the guys win the race.
That's exactly right. You can improve your position, but you can't just quite get over the hump. There's my guy, Colwitt, talks about him in the opening, your rookie point leader. That rookie point lead was huge when we left Charlotte. It's all but down to nothing now, Phil.
Yeah, Joey Coulter, as I said, my spotlight guy was 44 points behind. He's cut that to 10.
These two young guns in this series, we talk about the youth movement right now in the Camping World Truck Series. James Buscher, just 21 years old, driving that number 31 truck. And how about Colwitt, only 20 years old and having a great rookie season in the trucks.
It's incredible. Half of our top 10 in points are 21 years of old or less. This may be the best rookie crop we've ever seen in this series.
And I love it. 4 of them haven't even won a race yet, and they're that good. That tells you there's a lot of fun first-time winners on the horizon.
We picked up where we left off from a week ago at Nashville. The 3 of Austin Dillon. Well, he finished first. Johnny Sauter finished second. Right now, they're running 1 and 2 here at LOR. Beautiful aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. To get the best offer of the year, call 1-800-DIRECTV. The Ultimate NASCAR Pre-Race Show is only on Speed NASCAR Race Day. Jimmy Johnson and Jamie McMurray join us live. Plus, Juan Pablo Montoya discusses his determination to win the 400 NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot Sunday. That's 10 Eastern, live on Speed.
What incredible shots from the blimp there. Wow.
Oh, Juan's been pretty determined to win the 400 the last couple of years, hasn't he?
Led the most laps both years, right?
Had to slip away from him. It's going to be a great race on Sunday. Can't wait to watch trackside and see how everybody's attitude is heading into that big event.
Great battle for the 5th spot right here. Matt Crafton is chased down. Yeah, exactly. They were side by side. What? 15 laps ago.
Yeah. And, you know, this bodes really well for the 88 truck of Matt Crafton. He has a fast truck. He's all over Kligerman. If he could gain that spot away from Parker, he would drive away. That means he knows he's got something he can race the leaders with. He just needs to figure out somehow how to complete this pass and get that all-important track position.
Matt has 10 previous starts here. He's finished in the top 10 7 times, so he knows his way around this racetrack. Finished 3rd last year here.
Door to door once again. This is for the 5th spot. Kligerman has it. Crafton trying to take it away down on the flatter part of the racetrack down near that yellow line.
He's going to try to use that lap traffic as a pick. Jason White's truck's down off the pace after that crash. Matt's going to go way to the bottom and hope that Jason is able to pick off Kligerman. And is it going to work, Phil?
I don't think it's going to work. He's not going to be able to clear him. You can do a slide job here and maybe get in front of him, but then it really makes that other driver mad when you pull up in front of him and you're running about 5 miles an hour slower than him.
It's going to work this time.
Tommy Joe Martins in the 42 is going to give the pick this time to Parker Kligerman and allow Matt Crafton to take 5th away.
Now we're going to watch and see how Matt Crafton is able to drive away from that 29 truck.
You know, just when you think you got a guy figured out. Matt Crafton, he's Mr. Top 10, right? Doesn't go to victory lane all that often, but he's Mr. Top 10. What has he done lately? In the last 6 races, 1 top 10 finish. And you know what that was? A win.
Yeah.
No other top 10s, he gets a win.
How about that? Johnny Sauter closing the gap on Elliott or on Austin Dillon?
Looked like he locked the brakes up as well, and he slid to the outside a little bit, trying to get by these lap trucks.
And I think that's a great example, Phil, of how hard these guys have to drive at this little place. You're hard on the brakes. You're hard on the gas trying to get that 650, 675 horsepower to the ground. It's a constant battle.
After Austin Dillon started on the pole, he's led all 31 laps. We're on lap 32, but now because he's getting into the slower lap traffic, having to work his way through this traffic has enabled that 13 of Johnny Sauter to close right up on his back bumper.
Joey Coulter has taken over the 3rd spot from Elliott Sadler, so RCR right now running 1st and 3rd.
What did we tell you about Matt Crafton? He'd be fast once he got around Kligerman. He was the fastest truck on the track last time by.
How about Johnny Sauter sideways when he comes out of turn number 4? What are they saying on the radio, right?
Well, he was tail happy that lap for sure, Rick, but on the radio he's been saying no forward bite driving up off. But I promise you this, as you watch this race later on, you will see that 13 truck being able to be glued right to the bottom. That's what he and Joe Shearer worked on all through practice. He said the high side cannot win this race tonight. He thinks 8 wheels are better than 4. He'll be on the bottom when this thing is over.
That means he's going to be on the bottom leaning on someone on the outside that has 4 more tires, and he's going to use them to make those passes. We saw Matt Crafton really struggle, had to eventually use a pick to get around Parker Kligerman. Sauter thinks he can do it by just leaning on the guy.
And I don't know if I agree with that philosophy that you're going to have to win this race from the bottom of the racetrack. I don't know if you can do it or not.
Matt Crafton moved to the inside of the 2 of Elliott Sadler, trying to take that spot away. Sadler holding on to 4th. Crafton takes it away. Crafton moves back up into 4th.
And that was experience. Elliott Sadler at that time realized that he caught him. He just let him go. He didn't get back in the throttle until after Matt had already cleared him.
Let's see if Sauter can use a pick on Dillon like we saw a minute ago with Crafton and Kligerman. Looks like that's what Sauter has in mind.
Looks like it's going to work too.
He's got him pinned in, doesn't he?
Max Pappas in the number 9, just in front of that 3. Here comes the 13 of Johnny Sauter. A little rub in there as they came out of turn number 2 into 3. Sauter has the bottom of the racetrack. And now he's cleared the 3 of Austin Dillon. Johnny Sauter in front, but here comes Dillon back to the inside.
The crossover to make it 3 wide.
Still 3 wide.
And Dillon takes the lead back from Johnny Sauter. The crowd back on their feet once again.
Or has he, Rick?
That's where it's so hard to clear somebody. He was clearly out in front of Johnny Sauter. Wasn't able to clear him, and Johnny beat him off the corner with the momentum from the outside.
So Johnny Sauter now back out front. Here comes Austin Dillon looking to the inside once again, coming out of turn number 4.
You know, when Max Pappas just run along minding his own business trying to stay on the lead lap, he didn't have anywhere to hide. There isn't a right thing or a wrong thing for those lap trucks to do. They've got to go somewhere. He just went where he wanted to go, and Johnny Sauter saw it as an opportunity to put the lead in his hands.
You know, on the right side of your screen, you see the 4 of Ricky Carmichael. He started this race 27th. He's already up to 13th. An impressive move forward for Ricky Carmichael.
It sure is. He's doing a great job. That's Brendan Gaughan, the 62 truck right in front of him. Timothy Peters right behind him.
Here comes Dillon once again, looking to the back bumper of that 13 of Johnny Sauter. Now the 6 in front of him, Justin Lofton. Hearing a little bit of precipitation here on the roof. We talk potentially about rain in the area. It was to the north of us and to the south of us. It looked like it potentially could split us, but right now they're talking a little bit of rain on the roof.
Yeah, we have to run at least 100 laps to be an official race. So right now we've only completed.
And there's the caution you just heard for rain.
We got a great crowd here tonight, and they're all starting to scramble down in front of us trying to get covered up. Check out that little shower there that's gotten a little heavier now.
That's the lake. That was already there. So that wasn't. Yeah, it didn't rain that much yet.
I call it a pond.
Pond in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Pond. Yeah, Austin Dillon said that if he would win, he'd jump into that pond.
They got a pool and a pond. I think maybe that pond's better.
Pond would be good for you. Appreciate that. Trackside. On trackside earlier, Austin Dillon made the comment that if he did win, instead of doing the slide, he would do the jump into that pond.
Well, he showed us that he couldn't do the slide.
The slide didn't work so well.
Jumping in the pond might work out better for him.
There's a mass exodus right now of the people in the grandstands in front of us.
Then he showed Jimmy Spencer he did know how to slide.
Yeah, he did. Right across his desk.
What do you think about that, old man?
So the umbrellas come out.
I think
plastic
this
cover-ups.
This is quick. This is going to be right out of here.
Yeah, a little clearing off shower.
That's right. Why don't we take a break, Rick?
Let's do it. We're under our second caution. This time it is for rain. Out in front of the field, Johnny Sauter was able to get in front of Austin Dillon before the rains came. Joey Coulter, Matt Crafton, and Elliott Sadler, your top 5 at Lucas Oil Raceway. Stay with us here on Speed. Phil, I think you called it a clearing off shower. The Aaa Insurance 200 under caution for the second time for rain, and it looks as though the rain has cleared out. Now they're running around the racetrack waiting to make sure that the track is dry enough for them to race.
Well, they have to have that vortex theory of Darrell's to keep circulating around the racetrack, and that pushes the rain away.
We were at Pocono one day, and it was just socked in, really misty, and the clouds were right on us. And Dick Beatty, the competition director for the Cup Series 100 years ago, he called us all together and he said, we're going to send y'all out, and we think the cars running around the track is going to lift this fog up out of here. And one of my buddies, Rick Wilson, he leaned over to me and he said, I would have never said that, but I was thinking the same thing. And so ever since then, you know, we always wonder if maybe we get some trucks running on the racetrack, it'll get the rain on out of here.
Dick Beatty also said we would have a winder.
There would be a winder for sure.
Right now we have completed 45 of the scheduled 200 laps. You see one of the jet dryers out on the racetrack, continuing to clean the racing surface, getting us ready so we can go back to racing. So again, Johnny Sauter, Austin Dillon, 1 and 2. Dillon already has led 36 laps. Sauter the other 9 of the 45 that have been completed. Wednesday night, the car show with Adam Carolla is all new, and it's a must-see as Adam takes the original Batmobile on a spin through town and finds out how many hotties he can cram into a Mini Cooper. You don't want to miss the car show Wednesday night at 10 Eastern on Speed. That guy is hilarious.
I like the premise of the next week's show, though.
how many hotties you can cram into a Mini Cooper or the Batmobile?
Yeah, I like the Batmobile.
The Batmobile. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Phil, good recovery, brother.
We had a Batmobile.
Yes, we
2
did.
years ago.
Yes, in Talladega.
Talladega.
Last year we had a boat.
We had a boat, and we had the professor build us a car.
Yeah,
last year,
and we're still stuck on that.
Still
stupid
stuck on the island.
Camping World Truck Series enjoying 2011, and we want to enjoy another installment of Destination Recreation.
It's Camping World's Destination Recreation.
You know, most race fans realize that Camping World has over 8,000 products in their stores and online. But what you may not know is with our new partnership with Good Sam, you can come into stores and buy some of these featured items, and they're going to make a great donation to charity. Do me a favor, summer's almost over. Get out in your RV and have some fun.
Race, Destination Recreation, or Trash Service. Race Trash Service, one of the sponsors here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Again, a name change, but still the same old short track, bumping and banging, what we've already seen to start off this race.
And we'll see a lot more.
A lot more.
And you know, as a racer, you get a little bit of a break here, just a quarter of a way into this baby, and you think to yourself, okay, what do I have to do to this truck? Matt Crafton, I think, has got one of the best trucks here. He's made his way to 4th position. He's got to talk to his crew chief and figure out if there's some pit strategy that they can use in order to get around those guys in front of him, because it's only going to get tougher and tougher closer he gets to the front.
And it may be a 2-tire. It may be a 2-tire strategy. Maybe on the first pit stop to get that track position.
I may have been wrong. Maybe it was Race Trash Service. How about that? Thank you, Ray. You can call it. We showed you the number. Stay with us.
Pit stops are underway at Lucas Oil Raceway at Indianapolis. The 29 of Parker Kligerman comes to pit road. Been fighting a loose condition. No right rear grip. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, and a track bar adjustment right side. Ray?
4 tire stop for Elliott Sadler. He said on the last few laps of the race, he actually had the steering wheel basically come out of his hand. It was chattering the tires so badly. So they made an air pressure adjustment on the left side, went down a half a pound on both left side tires. They tried to pull some tape off the front, but they were successful on a big track bar swing.
Take a look at the left side tires, guys, on these trucks that just pitted. Look how little air they put in those tires there.
They've got wrinkles.
And that's part of why Elliott was complaining about his truck. Sometimes when that air pressure comes up, Phil, it will chatter those tires. If he was able to run along top 5, 6, 8 spots with a front end chattering like that, they make the right adjustments to that 2 truck. He could be a real factor.
And he was the top running truck that came to pit road. He was running 5th when they opened pit road, and he led a few of the trucks down pit road.
Elliott's pit stop. Left side tires going on. Now remember, at the very start of this race, actually the restart,
He's trying to get a little tape off. Must be running a little hot. Yeah. That will get better as it gets a little bit cooler here tonight. So, but Phil, I like pitting right now. If I'm not the leader, I mean, we're definitely going to go back green. And we definitely had a lot more racing we have to do to get this baby official. Maybe this is a way to get to that track position we talked about.
I agree. And we know that the 88 of Matt Crafton has an awfully good truck. He probably needs to stay on the racetrack right now.
NASCAR has let us know that when we come back, the green flag will fly. Stay with us here on Speed, your motorsports authority. Since the drop of the green flag, it has been all Austin Dillon or Johnny Sauter. Austin Dillon starting on the pole, Johnny Sauter taking the top spot away from him. And then the rains came, but we're about to go back to racing here at Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis.
Yes, we are. And we've got some strategy that's happened now. We've got some trucks that have been to pit road, top 5 truck of Elliott Sadler to pit road. A lot of racing left. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I knew Johnny Sauter would take that outside. Again, as we talked, I'd be shocked if anyone takes the inside when they have the choice on the restart.
Yeah, and just watch the brake, Phil. You got just that little bit of extra braking up high. That allows that truck really to squat and dig down toward that first turn.
Chevrolet's dominant early on in this race. The top 7 all Chevrolets. The first Toyota, David Starr, back in the 8th position. So back in row number 4, and they turn the lights back on the pace car, letting them know they're not going to go this time by.
I think we got a lineup issue.
Lineup not quite right.
They're rearranging it. You'd think, you know, race car drivers could figure out if you're 3 people on, like if you're an odd number, you go on the left and you're even on the right. But you'd be surprised how many times we can mess that up.
That's a lot of thinking going on there.
Hey, Thursday, an all-new American trucker. Rob visits a famous classic truck stop to see where it all began. Then he gets real-life experience working at one of the most modern and massive facilities in the country. Hop in for an all-new adventure on American Trucker. That's Thursday night, 10 Eastern, only on Speed. We're going to try it again. Kim Lopez letting them know next time by we will go green. Lights are back off. Randy Kaiser driving the pace car.
You know, just before this this caution for the rain, that truck of Johnny Sauter's was impressive, wasn't it? He had maybe a half a straightaway he'd given up to Austin Dillon. Man, 4 or 5 laps through some traffic. He drove up on the back of Austin and put him away.
Be interesting to see. Elliott Sadler will restart this race 11th. He's the lead truck on the pit road and the lead truck off pit road of the guys that stopped. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get the good out of those new tires on this very, very tight racetrack.
Field back in the hands now of Johnny Sauter. The pace car is on pit road. Austin Dillon on the inside, coming through turn number 4. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway.
Look at that jump by Johnny Sauter. He's going to bring Matt Crafton with him. Matt drives up on the outside of Austin Dillon as well.
Joey Coulter looked to the inside, making it 3 wide for a moment.
3 wide behind as well.
Austin fought hard off that second turn, was able to remain side by side with Matt.
Talked about real estate. Everyone wanting the real estate. Where is the preferred line around this racetrack? Sauter running high. Has the lead. Crafton moving ahead of Austin Dillon into 2nd. Dillon to 3rd. James Busher 4th. Joey Coulter is 5th.
Austin got a break. He was able to get in front of James Busher, then drove back down to the inside. But you see he's cleared James Busher now. A good move by Austin and his spotter to get him back in line.
Yeah, and a strong truck by Austin to be able to pull that move off. You get hung down on the bottom at this place on a restart, you can lose 6-8 spots before you can get back up. You know, Phil, for a couple of reasons, I really like pitting right now. We're going to run 100 laps before this race is official. Elliott Sadler can go way past 100 laps in case there's weather in the area. If rain comes in, sometimes past lap 110 or 15, he's going to be on the racetrack, and those leaders are going to be on pit road.
That's exactly right. And all those crew chiefs and engineers down in the pits are watching that radar and just to see, and they'll know exactly when that rain should get here if it's coming.
They need to educate some meteorologists, because I've heard meteorologists tell me it's going to rain and it never does. And then sometimes it'll rain and they said it was going to be in clear skies.
Oh, look, Cole Witt got into the outside wall coming off turn number 2. Didn't look like significant contact, but he definitely bounced off the fence.
Todd Bodine just to the inside of Cole Witt. Those two racing for position. Parker Kligerman watching from behind.
Good jump for Todd Bodine right there in the center of the corner. You see him drive all the way square up beside Cole Witt. Maybe he can make the move here off 2.
How about Ricky Carmichael in the Monster Energy drink number 4 as he goes to the inside of that 33 of Ron Hornaday? Carmichael all the way up into the 6th position. We're battling for that position with Hornaday.
Yeah, you mentioned he started all the way back in the 27th spot. Ricky was one of the trucks that stayed on the racetrack, but he drove his way up to near the top 10 before that red flag, or look, the caution flag.
Look what he's doing now. That's Ron Hornaday. Almost cleared him off 2. Can he get him?
And oh, by the way, that's the guy that's won 4 times here.
4 times he's won. He's won 4 championships in this series. And Ricky Carmichael trying to make the transition to 4 wheels. And he's doing a pretty fine job right now on this short track.
He's got Elliott Sadler right behind Ricky Carmichael. There's David Starr, the 81 truck on the outside behind Hornaday.
Remember, Elliott Sadler came to pit road under this most recent caution.
And look at him use those new tires. You talked about, could he get the good out of those tires still and make some moves? He's trying. He's using every bit of the real estate that Krista talked about out there.
Ron Hornaday is not giving that spot up without a fight. Trying to keep Ricky Carmichael behind him, but he's losing touch with the Joey Coulter truck that's running in front of him right now.
You know, the pack is starting to move up behind these two, so these two are holding up quite a few good trucks that are just behind them as they continue to battle for that 6th spot.
I believe Elliott Sadler will become content just to ride there for a little while, see if we can't get this thing to halfway and see what happens from there. He doesn't want to make a mistake by getting into another truck and causing the caution to come out. He'd like to see him run off about 35 laps here right quick and make these other lead trucks come to pit road.
How about that A truck of Nelson Piquet Jr.? Never been to a racetrack like this and really doing a great job. I kind of eavesdropped a little bit earlier today with Rick Corelli, the team manager for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, as well as Chris Carrier, Nelson Piquet Jr.'s crew chief, and just talking to Nelson about how to drive this racetrack. That was between practice sessions. And Rick said, it's amazing how hard you can drive in the corners here in this racetrack, even as flat as it is. But if you don't drive in the corner hard enough, then you find yourself before you get to the center, and you know you're going too slow. You try to get on the throttle, Michael, and then it won't work because you're pointing the wrong way.
Remember I talked about the fine job that one of the trucks did down on the bottom because he could have lost 6 straight places if he doesn't finish the move like Dillon did earlier.
You're talking about Ricky Carmichael.
That's
now?
what just happened to Ricky Carmichael. What's that, 6 spots? He was battling Ron Hornaday. Now look at all the trucks that have gone around him. And that's a little bit of that inexperience we talked about. You know, Ricky, he's raced 2 wheels his whole life. He's got out here now on 4. He's had a couple of tries at it, and it's just hard to get used to this stuff.
Right along with Parker Kligerman, he runs a little bit lower line around this racetrack. Watching just in front of him, Elliott Sadler and David Starr run door to door. Sadler now looking to the inside of that 33 of Hornaday.
Remember, Ty Bodine was also one of those trucks that came to pit road. Right now, he is the lead truck running 6th right in front of this battle right here of the trucks that made a pit stop.
Elliott Sadler on those fresher tires has been able to clear the 33 of Hornaday. Now he'll move up. So Sadler running in the 7th spot just behind Bodine, who's 6. Your top 5, Sauter, Crafton, Dillon, Buscher, and Coulter.
Parker Kligerman, the 29 truck on the bottom, another one of the trucks that stopped. Remember, he was talking about forward bite, needing some more forward bite. Look at the difference in the attitude of those trucks. It illustrates how much flatter the bottom of the racetrack is.
And you know, that's the cool thing about being a race car driver at a place like this. If your truck isn't working good on the bottom, go to the top and try. There's a lot of different places where you can change the characteristics of your truck by where you approach the corner. Just like you talked about the flat entry, you got to dive in there and you can't slow down too much in the center. All those things can be adjusted by where you run on the track.
Nelson Piquet Jr. threading the needle between Jennifer Jo Cobb and that 88 of David Starr. Moves to the inside, trying to take that position away.
Look at Nelson way down on the bottom, trying to get rid of Ron Hornaday.
Truck's turning extremely well, just not able to clear Hornaday.
Look at Josh Richards.
Richards in the 18 on the inside of that 60 of Cole Witt.
It's a battle for the 16th spot right side of your screen.
But you can see Josh making some good progress there right through the center of the corner, not only on that lap, but just in general. This is as competitive as we've seen Josh Richards in that truck. So he's catching a drift of what's going on here at LOR.
And we saw Nelson Piquet Jr. was able to get by both of those trucks. Now David Starr jumps to the inside of Hornaday. David Starr is on the same pit cycle right now as Hornaday, has not stopped yet.
One of the drivers who has, Todd Bodine, has moved up into the top 5. He was able to get by Joey Coulter.
What about if Todd Bodine was able to pull off a win here on a short track? We made such a big deal out of the fact he's never done that. A couple of weeks ago, he didn't even have a ride. And now he looks like he's going to have a shot to win here in Indy. That's awesome.
Out in front of this field, it's still Johnny Sauter. Matt Crafton running in the 2nd spot. Todd Bodine has moved into the top 5 position as we ride along with him and look forward to James Buscher.
Yeah, that's 4th and 3rd right in front of him right now. James Buscher 4th, Austin Dillon in 3rd.
Ray Dunlap.
You know, it's funny, Rick, just as Phil was talking about that whole rotation thing in the corner, Buscher came on and said exactly that. He said, my truck is so tight in the center, I can't get it to rotate. But when it does rotate, it's way late in the corner, and I'm pointed the wrong direction. He said, we got to make a big adjustment on this truck. His crew chief came on and said, dude, you're in the top 5.
Big adjustment. you're running top 5.
And then that's when James said, well, if you would fix it, I'd be lead.
Johnny Sauter has a 1.5 second lead over Matt Crafton, his teammate. So Ford Racing running 1 and 2 here at LOR. Austin Dillon, James Busher, Todd Bodine, your top 5 as we're closing in on the 77 laps complete here at LOR. Caution comes out on the racetrack. That brings all of our lead lap trucks onto pit road in the Aaa Insurance 200. So Todd Bodine, who had come on pit road earlier, stays out and holds on to the lead. Let's get an update on who came to pit road. Hermie.
Well, Rick, the 88 of Matt Crafton gave up the second position to come on pit road. He really liked his truck, other than it was a little bit tight through the center of the corner. This crew chief Vance Hafley made a air pressure adjustment to the right rear, 1/2 pound, 4 tire Sunoco fuel. Ray.
Johnny Sauter just a little bit snug. They also made air pressure adjustments on the right side. They came in and got 4 tires there. They had no choice here. You had to pit. Even if you thought the rain may be coming, they could not stay on the racetrack. And Rick, just to update you, Todd Bodine actually did pit. He came in for fuel only. So I think the whole group of trucks came down pit road, but a lot of people changing positions with varying strategies.
Oh, and it's going to get intense, too. You got guys that didn't pit, guys with new tires.
See the 22 of Joey Coulter. Look at the right rear corner of this truck.
They've done a little bit of work to it already, but a lot of damage to the right rear quarter panel.
That's because he squeezed Elliott Sadler into the outside wall. Let's see if we can see what happened.
He was being squeezed by the 42 of Tommy Joe Martins. Watch this. They come off the corner. Tommy Joe's going to come up like they're only 2 wide, not 3 wide. You see Elliott bouncing off the fence into the 22 of Joey Coulter.
And this is before our caution. This happened just prior to it. The 42 obviously needs to stay low here. He squeezes the 22 of Coulter into Elliott Sadler, Elliott into the wall and into Coulter.
And now
1 lap later.
Yeah, also involved in this incident that just took place.
You don't think this was a result of A? That's B. Elliott Sadler turns the 42 around.
It might have had something to do with that previous situation, but unfortunately Brendan Gaughan is the guy that's going to get the worst of it. He made contact with that 42 of Tommy Joe and has some damage to that South Point Toyota.
There's
him working on those 2 trucks that made contact, coincidentally back to back there. Front to back.
Tommy Joe Martins in the 42, Brendan Gaughan in the 62, and you see the dark clouds just off of turns 1 and 2.
That's why these guys are going to be even in a bigger
intense.
hurry than they normally are. They can see those clouds.
And we only have 17 laps to go here to get to halfway. They know this would be a complete race. Once we get to lap 100, we're going to have a great restart with 2 of the rookies we talked about in the beginning of the show up front.
Parker Kligerman, Nelson P.K. Jr. Parker Kligerman on the outside scored your leader. Green flag goes back in the air.
Parker Kligerman gets a great jump. Nelson P.K. couldn't get any grip down there on that flat bottom. Allowed Clay Rogers around the outside. Look at Josh Richards way down on the bottom of the track, racing for a top 5 spot.
And Todd Bodine also working it through traffic in that number 5 as Austin Dillon rockets up on the inside of the racetrack, passing numerous trucks through 3 and 4.
Look at these 3 and 4 wide down here coming off turn 4.
There's a wreck right there. Holy cow, how they hold on to those trucks. Look at that mess.
A wreck that didn't quite happen down the front stretch. Into 1 and 2. They throw it 2 and 3 wide.
This is incredible racing, and you would think this was the last lap.
Well, remember, it is scored an official race if it only has to go halfway and we get rain that stops this event. So they're going potentially for the last 15 laps.
Oh, yeah, there's a sense of urgency right now. There's no question about it. Look at Hornaday on the outside, the 33 truck. There's Elliott in the 2. They made quick repairs to that truck.
But I don't think that truck of Elliott Sadler is anywhere near like it was. You could see Johnny Sauter just driving right around him. Here comes Busher to the inside. And look at Hornaday.
Hornaday's going to make it 3 wide. He
ran out of room down there. Now he's going to squeeze Austin Dillon up to the high side.
Racing to the inside of that 2 of Elliott Sadler. Hornaday, a man on a mission, makes the pass on Elliott Sadler. Here comes Austin Dillon to the inside as Hornaday slides up the racetrack.
Yeah, you're right about that 2 truck, Michael. I don't think that truck is where it was before with all the damage. We saw him get into the outside wall and also have damage on the left front corner from the contact with Coulter.
I bet you Austin Dillon's thinking, how the heck did all these trucks get ahead of me? I started on the pole. Why am I not up front?
Parker Kligerman has a 1.3-second lead over Nelson Piquet Jr. Then Clay Rogers runs in the 3rd spot. Todd Bodine moved up to the 4th position. There's the gap between 1 and 2, and then right behind him, all racing for position right here.
Yeah, Johnny Sauter's already made the move by Todd Bodine. Now he's going to make the move by Clay Rogers to take over the 3rd spot.
You remember how strong that 13 truck of Johnny Sauter was after we ran 8 or 10 laps earlier in the race, got those tires heated up. He was by far the fastest truck. He is going for it. He knows he's got to get there in a hurry because if it rains, this could be a race.
4 wide, Austin Dillon was all the way on the apron, and around goes a truck. It looks like Timothy Peters in the 17. Caution comes out again.
And I think maybe Joey Coulter got a piece of that as well, Phil. I don't know. It was close. Maybe he missed him.
Yeah. Hits just keep coming for Joey, though. Innocent bystander, that one situation with the 42 squeezing him up into the 2 truck of Elliott Sadler.
Looks like there isn't any damage to Peter's truck, so maybe missed him.
Here's Timothy racing with the 32 of Steve Arpin. They get down to turn number 1. They're probably going to make a little contact right here. See Timothy gets sideways and has to chase the truck up the hill. He makes contact. Around he goes. Arpin does a nice job saving that truck.
Justin Lofton also in the 6 gets by cleanly.
That's may have been where the contact with the 22 came. Maybe the 6 of Justin Lofton, the 22 of Joey Coulter may have come together over there.
So Timothy Peters headed the right direction once again, but brings out the 4th caution to slow the pace once again. So we're closing in on the halfway point. And again, the skies are darkening off to the south of the racetrack. That's in turns 1 and 2.
Fortunately, it looks like the majority of that, Rick, is going to scoot by us over that way. It's sort of going back toward the back of the grandstands now. Max Pappas will get the Aaron's lucky dog and drive around, get a lap back.
He's a lucky dog,
isn't he? Phil, you know how long we raced. If you just said just going around the pace car, Mike, how cool would that have been?
It never happened.
It never happened. Now all of a sudden these guys get to do one ever caution thanks to Aaron's.
Well, NASCAR might have had, a little bit to do with that.
Pappas gets back on the lead lap. That'll put 25 on the lead lap. Timothy Peters again spinning.
Okay, here we go.
Coming out of turn number 2.
Go ahead. 4,400.
How about trying to win a race that you don't know when it might end? The radar is a mess. These crews know that. You're looking up at the skies. You can see that the rain is just any second could dump. So, trying to win a race that's 200 laps long, that's hard enough. But trying to win one when you don't know when it's going to end, that's nearly impossible to figure out.
How about this young driver, Parker Kligerman, leading this race right now?
Don't you think that's a great view from Parker Kligerman?
Oh, yeah.
Rides out of turn 4 and he looks at the rain going, please rain. Come on, rain.
Not yet.
The rain.
Not yet. We got to get 8 more laps in before it rains.
Yeah, very dark again through 1 and 2. And then when you come out of turn number 2, not so bad.
Yeah, he's going to like the look of the other end better, I think.
And he also loves where he's going to restart this race from. I'll be surprised if Nelson Piquet Jr. can hold on to anything in the top 5 because of where he's starting. We've seen everyone so far struggle on the bottom, trying to get grip when they mat the gas. And Nelson, like you talk about, Phil, he's never been anywhere like this. This could be one of the most challenging things he's faced.
But how much is he going to learn from that previous restart? How much better will he be on this one?
Pace car back off the racetrack. They're 2 by 2 once again as we're getting ready for the restart.
Watch Sauter here, Rick, because if PK struggles, no telling where Sauter's going to go.
He may go down below the yellow line.
PK goes low. Green flag back in the air. Parker Kligerman with a great restart. Damage to the front end of that 29. It looks like he might have got into the back of somebody at some point in time.
James Busher may be the beneficiary here. He's on the outside. He has that 2nd spot.
James Busher takes 2nd. Nelson Piquet is 3rd. Now the race for 4th. Austin Dillon, Johnny Sauter, and Todd Bodine.
These guys right now know they're racing for maybe a very short distance. If that rain comes, 6 laps to halfway.
Busher to the inside, trying to take the lead away from Parker Kligerman. Down the back stretch they go. Kligerman tries to take him on the outside.
He fights back on the outside, had the momentum from the top side of the racetrack. Busher slides up, pushes him up the hill a little bit.
Parker hangs tough, though, and stays on that outside. James has got a fast truck. I don't think Parker's going to be able to hold him off.
That time across the stripe. James Busher scored as your race leader. Can he complete the pass, though? Down to the apron he goes. James Busher all the way up the racetrack. Still can't complete the pass.
He had completed the pass, but he didn't have enough momentum to pull in front of him.
Kligerman still trying to hold him off on the high side of the racetrack.
Now Parker's got his truck wound up. He's been able to drive back around Busher. Man, this is what racing in LOR is all about. This is why people stand and cheer for the whole time they're here. What a great battle.
Short track racing. Kligerman on the outside.
Really nice job.
Busher on the
corner.
inside. Here's spotter letting him know where James Busher is.
Staying right here on your corner. You're doing fine.
We need to let these two know that there's trouble coming. Johnny Sauter has cleared the trucks he was racing against, and he's got those two square in his sights.
There's a storm coming, you think?
Yeah, there's a storm coming, and it's a name, Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, it's not the dawn that could hit Texas later this evening and early tomorrow morning. It is the Sauter that's coming up right now in third, and then in that number 13.
Yeah, that storm has a number on it, doesn't it?
It sure does. These two stay side by side for the lead. Kligerman clears him at the stripe. Busher running second.
2 laps to halfway.
I don't know if Busher can keep maintaining his patience. He's going to want to rub Kligerman and try to grab that lead away. He sees Johnny Sauter coming. He knows he's going to have to get aggressive. A couple of laps before halfway, a storm coming in the form of rain and Johnny Sauter. I say Busher gets aggressive with Kligerman.
Here he's got it cleared once again at the stripe. That time, Busher has the advantage by 23 1/1000ths of a second. Here comes the 3 of Austin Dillon now.
Oh, by the way, we're just going to throw another wood on the fire here.
How about some side-by-side for third?
You watch that 31 truck just keep pushing up the track, pushing up the track. There he goes. He guns it in the center of the corner, makes the pass.
Halfway. It's official. Now if the rains came, James Busher would do the rain laps of racing. James Busher out in front. Sauter making the pass on Kligerman, takes second away.
Yeah, this advantage that James Busher has right now of about 3 or 4 truck lengths, that's going to be short-lived. That 13 truck is coming.
And he's bringing Austin Dillon with him. Dillon's down on the inside of Kligerman now, trying to get that 3rd spot away. What great racing tonight here on the short track in Indy.
Austin Dillon to the inside of Parker Kligerman. Kligerman's been running that high line consistently, but it has been failing him. Busher got by him, then Sauter got by him, and now the 3 of Austin Dillon has been by. So Sauter continuing to reel in James Busher. Ray.
Guys, as we got ready for that last restart, Busher was side by side with Sauter, and in a few laps prior to that, before the caution, he had used his bumper on the 13 a few times. Johnny kept coming on saying, tell Busher to be patient, and then he roughed him up a bit. So don't be surprised if the 13 gets to his bumper, he doesn't use it a bit.
James Busher out in front of that 13, dying for a win. He's been so close so many times and yet not been able to close the deal.
I think we're seeing a trend now these last several weeks that the 13 truck and the 3 truck are going to be good each and every week. They're going to take this thing on down to Homestead. It's way too early to rule anybody out. Now you got James Busher right now in 3rd in points and the 60th Cole Witt. Way too early to rule anybody out. But I know that the 3 and the 13 are going to be all the way to the end.
And you know what's going to be fun to follow as we head toward the end are these rookies. Can they get to victory lane? How many of them will get to victory lane? And can any of them put together a second half of the season to challenge the 3 and the 13 and the 3?
And you know, just 3 laps or 5 laps ago, we passed the halfway point of the season. It's officially halfway to the championships that will be determined at Homestead.
And it's going to be fun to watch these next 12 and a half races.
Yeah, especially the half of this one. we don't know how big the half of this one is. Look at those storm clouds up ahead.
James Busher trying to hold off the 13 of Johnny Sauter. Sauter to the bottom of the racetrack. Can he get at least to the quarter panel of Busher? Dives it into 3 and 4. Still not able to get up to the inside of that truck. Busher consistently running the higher line around LOR.
What a great battle back behind these guys for about the fifth and 6th spot back. You see it right there, right side of your screen. You got Kligerman, the 29, Hornaday, Kraft, and David Starr. Ricky Carmichael joins that battle again, all racing up in the top 10.
Yeah, Hornaday into the back of the 29 truck down in 3 and 4, and then around the outside of him this time. So bring Matt Crafton with him, but Parker's finding the sledding a little bit tough right now.
Hermie.
Yeah, guys, we're watching Ron Hornaday on the racetrack. We want to talk about their crew chief situation a little bit tonight. Jeff Hensley is the crew chief on this 33 truck, but after a couple of lackluster performances, Kevin Harvick got Ernie Koch, who was the crew chief on Elliott Sadler's NASCAR Nationwide Series team, to come over during the course of the day and oversee practice, qualifying, and the race for this 33 truck of Ron Hornaday to see if any kind of insight or feedback he can give the team and Jeff Hensley as they try to improve the communication and performance for Ron Hornaday.
You know, it's amazing, too, guys, because was it 4 races ago that Ron Hornaday wins the race? Yeah. 4 races ago. And Hermie's right. They had a couple off weeks, and that's how KHI works. They're not going to stand around and be complacent. They're going to do something about it and try to get some help for Jeff Hensley.
Are these truck racers tough? Do you know about 10 laps ago, that 29 truck was leading this race and looked like he's going to have a good shot at winning it? Now he's dropped all the way back to the 9th, 8th position. That's the battle for 8th. Looks like David Starr is going to grab it away from him. That shows you how competitive this thing is.
Right now, Parker Kligerman has about 30 more laps on his tires than do most of the other guys.
And he's thinking right now, that lead I had that looked so good when the rain was coming at halfway, I don't like this feeling anymore.
Yeah, please don't rain. Please don't rain now.
James Busher leading Johnny Sauter by about 2 truck lengths as they cross the stripe. Dylan, Bodine, and Hornaday, your top 5 at LOR. Welcome back. The top 3 have stayed the same. James Busher out in front of Johnny Sauter, Austin Dillon. And as I say, they've stayed the same. A lot of things have changed.
No, they haven't stayed the same. They're in the same order, but man, they've been trying each other so hard. This is a great battle for the lead. Look at Austin all the way down the bottom. Sauter's been up beside Busher. Austin trying to stick his nose on the outside of Sauter. So this is a great battle. Meanwhile,
we're sitting here with 82 laps to go. These guys aren't racing like there's 82 laps to go. This race could end any second, and they know that.
Completed 119 laps. We're on lap 120 of 200. Busher in front of Sauter and Dillon. Dillon continues to run the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find some traction to get by that 13 of Johnny Sauter. Hasn't been able to do it.
You know, James Busher ran that ARCA Racing Series race here last night, and he saw how difficult it is to pass somebody. You think that's going to help him when we get down towards the end? How about Max jumping up to the outside?
And James saying, okay, if that's what you want to do, Max, I'll go the other way. You know, you talked about that first little rain shower being a clearing up shower, Phil. This next one looks like it might be a clearing up shower as well. Clear up to your ankles before it stops. I mean, it looks serious.
Clearing off shower, it could be. Clearing everyone completely off of the racetrack. But it looks as though it has passed us to the south and is now to the east of us, which it's still going by.
Did we just see that guy spin out a few minutes ago, the 17 of Timothy Peters? Well, he just moved into the top 10.
How about Hornaday? He's top 5, just behind him. Crafton and Bodine.
Ron Hornaday now has moved up to the 4th spot. He got by Todd Bodine. Now Matt Crafton is trying to do the same thing to take over the 5th spot.
Bodine on the high side. Crafton on the low side. Ray Dunlap, what's happening with Todd Bodine?
Well, he got into the wall coming off turn 4 just a little bit ago. May have some fender damage. And just for the record, if we go back to that lap 80 pit stop, they did fuel only. So his tires came at lap 52. So eventually that'll have to end up being somewhat of a disadvantage, I would think.
Yeah, I don't really like that, Ray, because the other truck that has those amount of laps on his tires is Parker Kligerman. And we watched him drop from the lead all the way back to just outside the top 10.
You know, Ricky Carmichael running in the 8th spot right now. He also came onto pit road at lap 81 or 80 when the other trucks came onto pit road, running extremely well. Again, started 27 and has really run strong tonight. Carmichael down to the bottom of the racetrack trying to get by David Starr for that 7th position.
Sideways trying to do it, and we saw Parker Kligerman try the tire strategy to get some track position, maybe win this thing if it rained just past halfway. That hasn't worked, Phil. And look at the 66 truck. He's driven right up and is battling hard with Kligerman.
18-year-old Ross Chastain from Florida. That's his first ever Camping World Truck Series race, knocking on the door of the top 10.
And his family grows watermelons down in Florida.
Like 350 acres of watermelons.
So if you wonder, does he just really like watermelons? Is that why it's on the side of his truck?
I think so.
I think he really does.
Yes, he does, and it runs in the family.
And look at the move he's making. Man, 18 years old. This is fun.
Pass Parker Kligerman. So he takes a spot away from Kligerman, moves up into the 11th position. Now Kligerman back to the bottom of the racetrack. Miguel Paludo just behind him in the 7th.
I think what this means right now is 30 laps on tires makes a difference. 30 more laps on your tires makes a little bit of a difference.
A ton of difference, and it seems like the further we go, the worse it's getting. See Kligerman there battling on the inside of young Ross Chastain. This is a great sign. We talk about our top 10 having 5 guys that are less than 21 years old in it. Then you got a cat like Ross Chastain shows up, 18 years old. He's running up toward the top 10. There's a lot of future stars in the Truck Series right now.
How about the 53-year-old and the 35-year-old battling for 4th on the right side of your screen?
Well, they're not too bad either.
No.
And you can be 53 and still do this job too.
Broadcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How about Miguel Paludo getting by Parker Kligerman? Right now, I think Parker Kligerman would love to have a caution flag to get those tires off this thing. You know, he's probably 30 laps away from having to stop under green anyway.
James Busher, who's pulled out to almost a second lead over Johnny Sauter running in the 13. Remember how close that was when we came back from commercial break?
Well, Johnny had a gap like that when he got into the second spot. Then he chased him down, even got beside him. But now he's actually losing ground to James Busher.
James Busher, Johnny Sauter, Austin Dillon, Hornaday, and Crafton, your top 5. Can Busher get that first ever win in the Camping World Truck Series? Stay with us. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you in high definition by Trunai. Trunai, fun and innovative. Experience more at TrunaiAmerica.com. By Chief, the new album from Eric Church, available now at Target. By Allstate, mayhem is everywhere. Protect yourself. Allstate, are you in good hands? And by Aaron's, you don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. Big story on the racetrack, Ray.
Johnny Sauter has cut a right front tire down. He came on the radio to tell Joe Shear, I've got a tire go down, I have to pit. Shear said, ride it out as many laps as possible. The rain may be here. And Johnny said, I'm about to crash. I've got to pit. He comes to pit road on lap 136. He'll lose 1 lap, maybe 2.
Yeah, Joe Shear kept saying over the radio, it possibly could rain. You've got to stay out 1 more lap. Stay out 1 more lap. Johnny finally said, I can't stay out another lap.
He saw Austin Dillon.
Oh, and he's got problems on the right front of that truck. You see the sparks flying behind or under the 13.
That may just be because that low air pressure.
No, it's not. Yeah, what he's done,
something on the right.
He ran too far, Phil. He had the tire go down flat. I think he's rubbed the sway bar arm off the right front of the truck, ruining his night and possibly
that championship that we talked about. He and Austin Dillon racing to Homestead for.
I was watching the current points as they run, and it just kept going and going and going. And right now, if the race ended right now, Austin Dillon would be our point leader.
As they run, Dillon currently leading the points.
You could see Joe Shear watching the sky, wanting Johnny Sauter to stay out, so when the rain came, they could pit under caution. He stayed out too long, Phil. Blew the right front tire and ground the sway bar arm off.
Yeah. Right now we're hearing sprinkles on the roof and sparks from underneath the 13. He's 2 laps down. Johnny Sauter is out in front. Is James Busher, Austin Dillon running second. But the big story is point leader Johnny Sauter with problems in the right front of that truck.
What a pivotal moment in our championship fight. We talked about the 13 and the 3, Michael, being there the rest of the year all the way down to Homestead. And I think they will, but it may be reversed when we leave here because that 13 truck right now is in serious trouble.
You remember the 3 truck at Iowa? He said, man, we can't just throw it away on pit road. He was really upset about a pit stop that they had that cost him. He felt like that victory. This is another example of how important every aspect of this game is. A mistake that was made gambling for the rain to come has cost this team tonight.
2 or 3 laps before he eventually pitted, he kept saying, I've got to come, I've got to come. And they said, the rain's coming. They're talking about rain. Please stay out and run another lap. And look what happened.
And you know, the spotter, obviously, who's standing on top of the press box here above us, is the one who's looking at the rain and saying, I feel raindrops. I can feel drops. So he's telling them, maybe hang on for 1 more lap.
But remember right now, Johnny Sauter was going to be 2 laps down anyway.
Yeah, but his truck's tore up.
But now his truck's tore up and he's down 2 laps.
Can't get back up to speed. 2 laps down, and will probably lose more if this race continues to stay under green because there is serious damage to the 13. Out in front, James Busher leading by 2.7 seconds over Austin Dillon. Matt Crafton runs in 3rd. Hornaday is 4th. David Starr in your top 5.
There's Austin Dillon. Look at the truck he's catching now, Phil. We watched Elliott Sadler get ball pinged into the outside wall and off of another truck ping pong, and now he's going to go a lap down. Austin drives to the inside.
Currently Currently on the lead lap, just 15 trucks. Nelson Piquet Jr. running in that 15th spot.
It takes so little to affect how these trucks run. Now, aerodynamics don't play that big a role at this racetrack, but your toe end does, and your camber, and where your rear end is relative to the front end, how the alignment, that all matters so much.
Yeah, that truck that just lapped him is perfect. It hasn't been bumped on or dented or anything, and it came here perfect, and right now it's running perfect. And Elliott's been into another truck. He's been into the outside wall. You can't spot those other guys that much, Phil.
So problems for our points leader, the 13 of Johnny Sauter. Looks as though has a sway bar problem.
And you know, Rick, the fronts of these trucks are basically set up around the sway bar. It holds the front end when it goes down in the corner, more so today than ever. The sway bars in the front of them are as big as your arm across, and that's what holds the truck flat, and his isn't operating right now.
Right now, James Busher is thinking this is looking perfect to get my first ever win, and maybe it could happen at Lucas Oil Raceway. Next Saturday, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series tangles in Pocono. Young championship contenders like Dillon, Busher, and Witt will be tested by the high speeds and high risks of that tricky triangle. Don't miss NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Pocono Saturday, 12:30 Eastern, exclusively on Speed, your Motorsports Authority. That is back behind the grandstands. That's the front that has been moving through, and it looks like we may get this one completed. We only have 46 laps to go.
I don't see how that can happen. The rain is here. I see it.
Now, strategy-wise, we're hearing from a few of the teams, James Busher may be able to go all the way on fuel, so he might not have to stop.
Yeah, most of the crew chiefs thought maybe somewhere between 100 and 110. Most of these teams pitted on a lap number 81. They got a good gauge because they were able to tell how much fuel mileage they got for the first 80 laps. So now they have a good idea whether they can do it or not. Remember, Timothy Peters, who spun out, caused our last caution, is now running in the 6th spot, and he pitted after he caused that caution on lap number 91. So we're fairly certain he can make it for sure.
Yeah, we know he can make it, but man, 120 laps, and then you got to figure on maybe a green-white checkered, all that craziness. No telling what'll go on.
Let's find out from the guys on pit road. What are they thinking down there, Ray?
Well, Rick, I asked Michael Shelton, the crew chief for James Busher. He said, we can make it, but they weren't even thinking about green-white checkered. They're saying to lap 200. I went down to the other end, asked Danny Stockman about this truck on your screen right now. Can the 3 make it? He said, looks like we're about 2 laps short. I've told my driver to save some money, or save some fuel, excuse me. That might bring them the money. Hermie?
Well, on this end, Ray, Bud Haefele says the 88 truck is about 10 laps short. 10 laps short. And I went and asked Jeff Hensley and Ernie Cope on the 33 truck, and they say they are close, within about a couple of laps. And I said, close enough to go for it? And they shook their head, yes. So the 33 is close, 88 about 10 short.
You know, Hermie, I think maybe Bud Haefele might be the only one telling the truth down there. I think a bunch of them might be about 10 laps short.
Parker Kligerman, who was leading this race earlier on pit road now, so they're going to work on that number 29 truck. Hermie.
Yeah, the 29 truck only got 2 cans of fuel to go, and they didn't have enough to fill it up the last time they pitted, believe it or not. So they're coming in for 4 tires and fuel and an air pressure adjustment for the 29 truck.
You remember those guys gambled, Rick. They stayed out right around the halfway mark, took the lead, was leading when it looked like the rain was imminent, but yet it's bitten them now. They had to come to pit road under green. It'll be interesting to see if this race stays green and those raindrops they do stay away, how this deal will play out.
Yeah, he had only 30 laps more on his tires than everybody else, and once he lost that lead, he fought up there valiantly, but once he lost it, then they really started picking him off, and he eventually got lapped.
Parker Kligerman currently 2 laps down on the lead lap. Joey Coulter running in the 12th spot. He is the last truck on the lead lap, and he's 16 seconds behind race leader James Busher. Busher looking for his first ever win in the Camping World Truck Series. He's trying to hold off Austin Dillon. Welcome back to the Aaa Insurance 200 here on Speed. James Busher out in front of Austin Dillon. He has a 1.1 second lead over that 3 truck, and he's working his way through slower lap traffic now.
He's in a mess right now, Phil.
Yeah, the 92 of Clay Rogers made a pit stop for some fresh tires. You see him able to drive by James Busher.
The 3 of Austin Dillon working through that same lap traffic.
And Matt Crafton's been closing on Austin Dillon every lap, and he's gotten to the tailgate of Austin Dillon, so the lead is a tightening up.
We're just outside of 30 laps to go in this race.
How about the brake rotor starting to glow now on that 88 of Matt Crafton? This has been a long green flag run and very hard on brakes here at a short track.
This place is just so challenging, Rick. These guys drive so hard every lap. They have to. That's what you have to do to win. Things get hot.
Right now, Crafton still trying to reel in that 3 of Austin Dillon to take second away.
If you've never been to one of these races in person and just enjoy them on speed, come to this place one day. It's amazing how these trucks battle each other. It's so much fun to watch.
Great battle for fourth on the right side of your screen. Ron Hornaday, the 33, David Starr, the 81, and Timothy Peters all battling for that fourth spot.
This is very uncharacteristic for this racetrack as well. We talk about long green flag runs. Only 2 times in the 16 races here has there been a green flag stretch. Over 20 laps to end a race here. So we could be going into waters we've never treaded before.
Well, you know, the cool thing about it is, even though we've had a long green flag run, look at this. There's nowhere to hide. They're running 3 wide, side by side, banging into each other all over the track. That's what's so fun about this.
Taste. Timothy Peters spinning out there may have been a huge advantage for him. He was able to come in 10 laps after these guys, get some fresh tires, and right now he's marching his way back towards the front, and we know he has a little bit of a cushion on fuel.
Running in the 6th spot.
He's going to make the move around David Starr, and now he's up trying to take 4th away from Ron Hornaday.
He's up to 5th, trying to get 4th.
Ron Hornaday's going to go through the grass down there to take a shortcut.
Timothy's going to follow him, and in fact drive up beside Ron. Can he do it?
Just gets to the back bumper, and now here comes David Starr once again, throwing that 81 into the turn, trying to get up on the back bumper, the 17 of Timothy Peters.
You know, Ron.
Oh, Hornaday sideways off the corner.
He held off the challenge for David Starr about 20 laps, got content with messing with David. Well, here comes Timothy. Now he's going to be all over the back of Ron.
Again, the last caution was on lap 81, or when they came onto pit road. We're on lap 173, almost coming up on 100 laps of green flag racing.
Yeah, another one of those trucks that stayed out on that lap 81 caution. Nelson Piquet Jr. that restarted up front. He just made a green flag pit stop, and he finds himself about 2 or 3 laps down. Ooh, Timothy Peters has the outside. That pass is going to work on Ron Hornaday, Michael.
Ron makes it stick on the outside.
Ron was really good off turn 2 and dives down low into 3, but I think you're right, Phil. I think you can use that momentum around the top, finish Ron off here.
So Timothy Peters trying to take 4th away from Hornaday down the front stretch. He does take that position away. Now he'll try to reel in Matt Crafton, the yellow 88 just in front of him. Still in front of the field, James Busher has a 2-second lead over Austin Dillon. 25 laps of racing to go. Short track racing. There's been bumping and banging. Could we have another first-time winner tonight? Welcome back. Battle for 3rd. Timothy Peters is making the pass on Matt Crafton. He takes 3rd away. Peters up to 3rd now. You see the 3 of Austin Dillon just in front of him. That'll be for 2nd.
With that pass, Timothy Peters was still the fastest truck on the racetrack.
Got it rolling, doesn't he? And look, just ahead of Austin Dillon, there sits James Busher. Heck, Timothy almost got to the outside of Austin on the same corner. He passed the truck before him.
I think he may have enough time. If he can get by Austin Dillon, he may have enough time to catch James Busher.
He's going by Austin Dillon right here, Phil.
Is Austin Dillon conserving fuel? Are some of these trucks thinking they might not be able to make it, because now we're under 20 laps to go, and that was the big question mark. Can they make it all the way to the checker with the amount of fuel they have? Ray, what's going on?
Well, guys, I just wanted to add to Peters, you know, he did not like the way his truck was in practice, and right at the end they added a couple of spring rubbers. He said it was much, much better. On their first pit stop, though, he was still very, very loose off. And Phil, you mentioned they came down pit road on lap 91. They dropped the track bar 2 rounds, and he said that truck absolutely came to life at that point. Hey, Crafton's on pit road, Hermie.
Yeah, the 88 truck, they said they were about 12 to 15 laps short. They're coming in a little bit early. Going to be 2 right sides. It's loco fuel for Matt Crafton.
So Crafton, the first truck, making the move onto pit road, thinking they weren't going to be able to make it. Some of these other guys think it's going to be really close on fuel.
Can you believe the way these guys run 3 wide, side by side, just like this right here? We haven't had a caution. How have they kept off of each other?
How about Ron Hornaday now is getting by the 3 of Austin Dillon? Ross Chastain, that 66, having such a great run. He had to come to pit road for some fuel.
There's a lot of them that'll be at pit road in the next 10 laps.
I think we're going to see some trucks run out if they don't get to pit road, Michael.
Last time by, Timothy Peters outran James Busher by about a tenth of a second.
Austin, you got 16 to go, bud.
Austin wants to know how many laps to go.
16 laps to go. Austin Dillon is saying, what's going to happen? What's happening? Do I have enough fuel to make it all the way? James Busher has almost a 2-second lead over second place Timothy Peters. Timothy Peters is coming, and he actually stopped later than the rest of the field.
Look at the speeds at the line. Look how much faster Timothy Peters was. Almost a mile an hour faster than James Busher. He close to about a second and a half right now.
And I believe you're exactly right, Rick. I think Austin Dillon is in the fuel-saving mode. James Busher probably isn't, and he's going to have company in the form of Timothy Peters. We know Timothy, we think Timothy can make it. We know he's got more gas than everybody else.
Timothy Peters, he's staying hard on that right foot, the accelerator down as he's working around this short track, trying to close the gap now on that 31 of James Busher. Busher probably in the back of his mind is thinking, okay, do I have enough fuel to get all the way to the end?
I think he's got to run hard. I think he's got to try to stay ahead of Timothy Peters. He's never won one of these races. I think he has to say, okay, I'm going to put it in your hands, crew chief. If we have enough fuel, we're going to try to hold them off. But that's the distance right there. You saw the 31 flash under the screen. There's a 17.
I'm nervous. Heck, I don't even have a dog in the fight. I'm nervous. This is tense when you got to get gas to get to the finish.
You know, Johnny Sauter had the problem with the right front. He had a right front tire go down. He stayed out a little bit longer than he should have. They wore down.
Here goes Hornaday trying to get back by David Starr. We saw David Starr pass Hornaday. Now Hornaday's getting them back. That's the third spot.
Hornaday moving back up into the top 5, working for the third spot, makes that pass, takes third away from Starr. Now going to try to reel in Peters. How about Matt Crafton, who was on pit road and is a lap down?
I don't know if any of these guys have enough fuel to get to the end.
Well, this guy here is doing the best saving it. He's pulling to the inside. He's letting everything go by him. Ray, what are they saying down there in the 3 pit?
Just exactly that, Michael. Danny Stockman said, we are not going to make it. Give me some half throttle laps here, and we'll get you to the end. He said, there's no way that James Busher can make it, so just back off a little bit. Austin said, I'm saving you the best that I can.
The variable in that is Peters. Timothy Peters has more fuel than all of these trucks that are worried about running out of fuel. He has 10 more laps of fuel.
Look at Matt Crafton all the way down against the grass here at LOR. That's a line you won't see very often. Timothy Peters is probably starting to wonder if James Busher can make it. He's hearing his crew chief say he can't. So Timothy might be saving a little gas too, thinking that maybe James is going to run out and he needs to save enough to be sure he gets to the finish.
We've talked numerous times that Timothy Peters stopped 10 laps after these guys, but there's no guarantee that he can make it the 110 laps that he has to make it.
And James Busher hasn't let off the gas yet. He isn't saving any gas. Last time by, he's the fastest truck on the track.
James Busher has a 1.5 second lead over Timothy Peters. Peters in front of Hornaday by about 6 seconds. Then back to Starr, who's running 4th. Dillon is in 5th. Right now, we think that Hornaday, Starr, Dillon all conserving fuel.
Yeah, whether it's going to be enough or not, I don't know. But how about right now running 6th, the 7th truck of Miguel Paludo?
Top 15 finishes for Miguel in 4 of the last 5 races. That's another young cat that's getting the grip of this thing.
You know, and remember, Busher is not gambling right now to stay in front as that gap continues to close. Busher's last 8 races have been top 10 finishes. He just hasn't been able to complete it and get the win. But here comes Timothy Peters.
I think James just went into fuel conservation mode, Phil. Almost 4/10 of a second off last time by, 25.27. The 17 truck beat him by 3/4 of a second.
But you got to conserve over 100 laps, not the last 7 laps of the race.
Here comes Timothy Peters trying to make the pass for the lead. Down the front stretch, side by side.
Remember, Ron Hornaday won this race last year. His crew chief, Butch Hilton. Butch Hilton's the crew chief on that 17 truck right there, Timothy Peters.
And he is out in front of the field now. Timothy Peters leading. James Busher runs 2nd. Hornaday 3rd. Starr is 4th. Dillon in the 5th position.
We talked about strategy. I never dreamed it would come down to this type of strategy. Oh, wait, I'll spin out and come to pit road, get some more gas and tires better than everyone else's, and then make maybe the longest run in the history of LOR to the checkered flag.
No one would have imagined that we'd go over 100 laps of green flag racing here at the short track. Lucas Oil Raceway. A little bobble by the 88. the 31 of James Busher, falling back behind Crafton. But remember, Crafton a lap down, trying to get back on the lead lap. Crafton currently running in the 8th position. He is the first truck a lap down. So he is trying to get his lap back right here by passing Timothy Peters.
Remember how good a truck Timothy Peters had? Was it Charlotte Michael leading the race and got involved in an incident coming off turn 2? Well, this could sure be some redemption for him right here.
And this would be huge if a caution came out right now. Crafton back on the lead lap with just 4 laps of racing to go. This time by, it'll be 3 to go for Timothy Peters, looking for his 3rd win of his career.
A couple of big ones so far for him. One down at Daytona, one a few miles
at home in Martinsville,
Virginia, and now on one of the most prestigious short tracks in America, Timothy Peters is racing toward a checkered flag.
How about this? Austin Dillon trying to stay in front of the 7 of Miguel Paludo, as well as that 66. What an impressive performance Ross Chastain has done in that 66 tonight.
He had to pit for fuel. If Austin Dillon can make it to the end and he ends up with about a 5th or a 6th place finish, that may be a championship move here. If he runs out of gas or has to stop, then he's liable to finish 20th.
Ricky Carmichael, I believe, just ran out of fuel across the front stretch. He went way down low and he's wiggling the truck. It looks as though he's run out of gas.
Austin Dillon just got put in the wall by Tom Bodine.
Austin Dillon into the wall. Coming out of turn 4, your race leader sees the white flag. One more lap to go. Dillon's in the wall in turn 1 and 2. There goes your race leader, Timothy Peters. It's the final lap. Even if the caution comes out, Timothy Peters will win this race. He's got to be able to hold off James Busher, who's about 2 seconds behind him.
I think Austin Dillon may have run out of fuel.
I think he just got run in the wall, Phil. He's under power. That thing just wrecked coming down the front straightaway.
Win number 3 goes to Timothy Peters.
Yes, baby. Good job, boys. Woo!
And now, the other truck's limping home.
Hornaday's out of fuel. He was running 30s, out of fuel coming off of turn 4.
Trying to coast out of turn number 4. You see Carmichael has run out of fuel. He can't get to the start-finish line.
Paludo goes by Hornaday to get that spot.
Paludo takes 4th from Hornaday. Hornaday finishes 5th, coasting across the start-finish line. Crafton is 7th.
How painful is this for Ricky Carmichael? He might make it across the finish line, he might not.
Just using the starter right now is all he can do, and he's probably going to get to the start-finish line. Timothy Peters is going to beat him to the start-finish line for his victory celebration.
And Carmichael is thinking, come on, just let me please get to the start-finish line. And Timothy Peters will start to celebrate win number 3 in his 106th start in the Camping World Truck Series.
We've got a lot going on right now, y'all.
You got Austin Dillon up against the outside wall right there. Timothy needs to watch out for those other 2 trucks.
Dillon's trying to figure out, when can I go by? The smoke screen has been put out by the 17 of Timothy Peters.
Austin Dillon is being shown right now in the 9th position.
That's a break for Johnny Sauter. Johnny looks like might maintain this point lead despite the fact that he lost 2 laps when he had a flat tire.
We're showing unofficially right now that Johnny would retain the point lead by 4 points.
What a championship battle this is in 2011.
How about one happy young man there, Timothy Peters?
That's a primetime player right there. You put him on a big stage and he can come through for you.
Does it tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, let's hear from his crew chief, Butch Hilton. There were 5 or 6 races where people weren't sure where this team was. Last week, you guys turned it around with a 3rd and a big win tonight. What's been the difference, Butch?
I got to thank all the guys at TRD at the Chassis Engineering Building, Dan Bonetta and Patrick. They've really worked hard with us on our geometry. This tires changed a little bit from last year, and we had to get off what we were doing and do something else. And I got to dedicate this win to Tom DeLoach. He pretty much funds this truck out of his pocket. Without Tom DeLoach, we wouldn't be able to do this. And all the guys at the shop, Gear Wrench, Crescent, K&N Filters, just it's been great to get back going again here. I was starting to believe we couldn't win again, but we did. That's awesome.
You guys came in 10 laps later than the other guys. Did you know that might make a difference? Because quite a few guys ran out of fuel.
No, we felt like we were okay on fuel. We got spun down there messing with the 32. Came in, put our last set on. I was worried about that, but it worked out. We adjusted on it some more and got it freed up a little more in the center, and he was able to go.
Congratulations. Go celebrate.
Thanks, man.
All right, Butch Hilton, the winning crew chief for Timothy Peters.
Good to see old Butch Hilton get a victory, isn't it, Phil?
Sure is. That's 2 in a row for him here at this racetrack.
Who would have ever imagined a green flag run to end this one of over 100 laps.
What was the longest one
racing.
prior to this? 20?
20. And we go over 100 laps of green flag racing to finish this one.
Check this out. Todd Bodine is on the inside of Austin Dillon. Austin just trying to make his way to the finish, and Todd just acts like he isn't even there.
Yeah, he runs him in the wall there.
There should be some Pop might really be upset about that.
Yeah, this was tough for that 3 truck.
Going to be another view. There's Miguel Paluda, just got by Austin. Come off the corner there.
How could that happen? Either Todd Spotter didn't tell him he was out there, but Todd should have known he was out there. Does Todd have a wiggle or a push or something?
You hear Austin under power, certainly not out of fuel here. Gets run into the wall.
Hard.
And then he runs back into the wall.
He had a flat tire.
All to pieces.
Yeah, had a flat tire.
And remember, he was worried about fuel all while that's going on.
He was just cruising home, trying to get a top 5, and had it worked out too, Phil.
Tom DeLoach making it into victory lane with Timothy Peters. We're about to talk to him. We'll send the guys down there into victory lane when we come back. Aaa Insurance 200 in the books, and it's Timothy Peters who's celebrating after this one, and Ray Dunlap's down there with him.
Yeah, he has been enjoying this one down here with the crew and everybody. Tom DeLoach came by. How about a 4th place run for Miguel Paludo, your teammate too? It's been a little while coming. How special is this for you?
It's special. I can't say enough about the guys on this Red Horse Racing, Crescent Tools, Apex Tool Group, family of brands, truck, Toyota Tundra, in victory lane tonight. You know, we had a tire coming apart. I spun out over here in 1 and 2. We came down pit road. Butch Hilton made a great call. We put 4 on, no choice. But the guys are doing a phenomenal job. We had a little hiccup last week, but they made up for it this week. Like I said last week, I love my guys. They get me on and off pit road well. Thank the Lord, man. I was praying for no caution there at the end, and my mom, I know you're watching. I love you. Wish you was here.
There were 3 or 4 weeks there in a row, Timothy, where you walked around the garage with a pretty solemn face. Things weren't going well. How hard is it to keep your patience and know that you can come back and make this happen?
I tell you, I'm very impatient, and you know, I had a lot of great people around me to just say, hey, keep your cool. And you even told me at Nashville, say, you see that up there at top of the board? Smile. So, you know, I took your advice, great surroundings, and here we are. We persevered, right?
All right, you sure did. Big smile on his face right now. The celebration begins for Red Horse Racing. Timothy Peters back in victory lane. He wins what may be the last race for a while here in Indy.
That spin he was talking about.
Phil, he just gets down on the inside of the 32 of Steve Arpin, and look, he's sideways. They finally make contact, and because he was sideways, his truck spins around, and that was key to him winning the race.
Absolutely. That may be directly relevant to him winning that race. He had to come to the pits. That was 10 laps after everyone else had stopped. He put 4 tires on. He said Butch made a great call, made an adjustment, filled it with fuel. He had enough fuel to get to the end without conserving, and he was able to drive by the field.
Timothy Peters gets win number 3. How about the 3rd second place finish for James Busher? He was with Hermie Sadler.
Well, James Busher comes on with an impressive second place finish, led a lot of laps. What were your guys telling you about fuel to get to the end?
We were more worried about the right front tire than we were about fuel. You know, some guys were having problems, and we were trying to conserve. It's a long way to stretch our tires, and you know, the Wolfpack Reynolds guys did a great job. We really weren't that good in the final practice, and decent qualifying effort. And, you know, right there whenever Sauter and I made a run to the front after our first pit stop, and, you know, it just – truck was awesome right then, and I knew I had to get around the 13 as soon as I could, and he was really fast. So I got around him in traffic and, you know, had to hold him off for a long time, and then he had problems. So, you know, you don't wish bad luck on anybody, but when the 2 guys ahead of you in points are having problems and you finish second, that's not a bad day. So, you know, I got to thank X-Side Batteries, Great Clips, and FOE and all these guys on the Wolfpack Reynolds team, and you know, that definitely closes up the standings on the championship hunt.
That's a good second-place run and a good points night for James Busher.
Since we're talking points, let's look at the Ford point standings. Now, 1 race separates the top 6 in our point standings. A pretty impressive day here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
I think the decision NASCAR made to change the point system around a little bit was a great idea. This championship battle is well in doubt, and we're halfway through the season.
Did it really tighten this thing up or not?
Very, very impressive. Again, Johnny Sauter with just a 4-point lead in the point standings. But the smile is all for Timothy Peters, going back to victory lane for his 3rd time. Welcome back to Lucas Oil Raceway at Indianapolis. Race number 13 is in the books now. Todd Bodine, kind of an interesting finish to this race. Again, Austin Dillon on the outside. This is late in the race.
We talked about him just coming up like Austin wasn't even there and runs Austin hard into the outside wall.
Austin was in a conservation mode. Miguel Paludo had just gotten by him, but then this is going to cost him 3 or 4 more positions.
Take another look at what happened. Coming off of 4.
We're trying to see if maybe Todd gets sideways and has to correct it, but it looks like he just drove up like Austin wasn't even there.
I don't see where he got sideways or pushed or anything. It just looked like, let's listen to what Austin was saying with his spotter, Andy Houston.
Nice and smooth now. 1 to 5. Come on, keep coming, come on. Try to keep it rolling, bud. Try to keep it rolling if you can.
What the hell, man? What an idiot. What an idiot.
Austin Dillon, you guys were in conservation mode, try to finish the race, and in some contact with Todd Bodine. What was happened from your side?
I don't know. We were just conserving fuel, like you said. I don't know what the excuse is. We were clearly there. It's just part of racing. For some reason, me and Todd usually race each other clean. Sure, he'll give me an explanation before next week. Just a bummer because we would have had the point state. I think we're running 4th there. White flag was the next lap. So good night for us in points. Could have been even better because we would have separated ourselves from everybody, really. Just have to go through it. I don't know what happened with him.
Well, let's hear the other side of the story. Todd Bodine is with Ray.
Well, we'll check in and see what driver Big Red has to say about that. It looked like you were at the bottom of the track, Todd, and came way up and made contact with the 3. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I was junk. I was just riding around the bottom, trying to stay out of everybody's way. I thought the 7 was the last truck. That's plain and simple. I never knew the 3 was out there. You can see I just going to run my groove up to the wall. Had no idea. You know, Austin, Danny, the boys, they got a right to be mad. Right to be mad at me.
So it wasn't payback from anything earlier in the race?
No, absolutely not. Austin's my boy. I love that kid. He's a great driver. He's a good kid. I'd never do that to anybody, let alone Austin. And I feel horrible about it. I mean, we were just riding around. We were junk. Our right front tire was gone down to the cords. So I hate it, you know. But we were running good for a while in this big red Tundra. We needed a caution with about 50 to go, 60 to go to get some tires.
Okay, so Todd Bodine, if you'll remember, guys, came to pit road and he went fuel only on lap 80 and ran out of tires there at the end. Didn't see the number 3. There's a good bit of damage here, and obviously Austin takes a bit of a hit.
Rick, you know, as a race car driver, that's what I want to hear if I'm Austin Dillon. I want to hear a guy say, I messed up.
Yeah,
I didn't know he's out there.
Totally my fault.
And that makes it a lot better. And you could see the respect that Austin has for this sport. He didn't just fly off the handle about what happened with Todd. He said, I need to talk to Todd and find out what happened. And Todd just admitted that he made a mistake.
That's a secondary story to the one that's going on in victory lane right now. Timothy Peters is going to continue to celebrate. Well, he'll celebrate all the way until we get to Pocono, because he is the most recent winner in the Camping World Truck Series. As you mentioned before, he celebrated at some pretty impressive racetracks: Daytona, Martinsville, and now Lucas Oil Raceway at Indianapolis. Todd Bodine and Austin Dillon talking about what happened on the racetrack. Todd Bodine did come over and pull Austin Dillon away from the rest of his crew and wanted to explain what happened. It looks as though these guys have finished up their conversation.
You know, you appreciate somebody coming over and telling you they're sorry, and especially the way that Todd did it. I just have a lot of respect for Austin Dillon. The young man gets run into the wall for no apparent reason on the last lap, yet he was cool about it and respected Todd Bodine, a champion, a veteran of this series, and said he just needed to hear from Todd, and that's exactly what we saw.
Camping World unofficial results. Look at that, only 7 trucks on the lead lap. Joey Coulter with a 7th place finish, but another 2nd place finish for James Busher. How about David Starr with a top 5 finish? That happened not very often, because his last top 5 was Talladega 2009.
What about Ross Chastain, 18 years old, the watermelon Florida from farmer from Florida comes to Indy and gets a top 10 finish.
At a tough racetrack, and he pitted. He's one of the guys that had to make a pit stop where he would have been higher up there if he'd had better fuel mileage.
That was fun to watch.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan was running very strong until he got into Tommy Joe Martin's when he spun. Had a tough night.
Rick, out of the 36 trucks that started this race, 33 of them finished. That just shows you how tough this place is and how crowded it is, and what a great job they did. I can't believe we didn't have a caution the way they were racing each other.
Talked about David Starr's impressive top 5 finish. He's standing by with Hermie.
Well, David Starr, a solid top 5 finish. Not many times we go over 100 laps on a place like this, a green flag. What was your guys' strategy, and how did you guys get your track position at the end?
You know, our Zachary Toyota Tundra was pretty awesome tonight. We were racing all night long. Jason Miller, my crew chief, Matt Faulkner, everybody on our SS Greenlight Racing team. We had a good truck all day long, and you know, we were just racing hard there, and I think we were running 5th or 6th and racing hard. And we passed one more person, and I think we was 4th or 5th, and I was running side by side with the 17 trying to hold him off, and Jason Miller got on the radio, and he said, hey, you're going to have to start conserving fuel, you know. But can't thank my owner here, Ken Smith, with ASI and everything our team's done the last 4 races. You know, we just every week we're getting better and better, and just can't thank all our partners, Zachary, ASI, and NCCR, or just Allegro, all the people who have been behind us all year long. It's just been tremendous, and we're excited. I just wish Jason would have said, hey, race it to the end. You know, I thought we had something good enough to win the race, just didn't have enough fuel with us, but we'll take 3rd place.
It's David Starr, a good veteran driver with a good veteran finish tonight.
You know, he talked about turning his season around. That's 4 top 10s in a row for that 81 team.
For the most recent, a top 5. But the man hoisting the trophy at the end of the night will be Timothy Peters, getting his 3rd career win and 1st here at the short track in Indianapolis. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and the Good Sam RV Club. Everything you need for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, roadside assistance, and more. By Fram. Fram filters make sure failure isn't a part of your engine's life. Don't fail your engine. Use Fram. And by Touch of Gray. Gets rid of some gray, never all.
How about a perfect way to spend a Friday evening? Little Camping World Truck Series.
Under the lights.
You know, Michael, we've been coming here now close to 30 years. 1982 was the first Busch Series race here, and it never hesitates to impress people and be exciting throughout.
What was the winning touch? We want to take a look at the winning touch of gray. Timothy Peters, an impressive run.
Let me guess, it's when this guy spins out, right?
He spins out.
You know, we had a spin and win back 25 years ago over at the other track. I believe that was Danny Sullivan. Well, that is the winning touch because he spun, came to pit road, Butch Hilton put 4 tires on, filled it with fuel, and made an adjustment. And man, was that truck good. And here he goes, passing for the lead.
Drives by James Busher, grabs the lead. What a great call by Butch Hilton to put those 4 tires on with so much left in this race, so much to go yet, and he put his last set of tires on and said, go get them, Timmy. And that's what he did.
109 laps remained in the race when they made that call, and Timothy Peters makes it to victory lane. That was the touch of gray, winning touch. And now the hat dance takes place for Timothy Peters in victory lane. Let's go back to Hermie Sadler.
Well, how about this? A top 5 finish at Lucas Oil Raceway here. Good, solid finish. Tell us about your night.
Yeah, it was perfect. We were a little bit off on practice, and these guys made awesome changes, awesome pit call, and we couldn't make it to the end. So, you know, really proud of them, really proud of Timothy winning the race, top 5 Bulls trucks, and we needed the result. You know, we used to having Kentucky a few weeks ago, and we struggled a little bit, but we're back on pace. So really proud of my guys, and I can wait next week.
It's Miguel Paludo. Good, solid run for these guys. A momentum builder as well.
Thanks, Hermie. His teammate in victory lane. That's the 5th career win for Red Horse Racing, 3 of which have been done by that driver right there, Timothy Peters. First win of 2011 and the first win right here at the Little Track in Indianapolis. Again, welcome back. Celebration continuing for the Peters family. That's Sarah Peters, Timothy's wife, celebrating with him in the trophy in victory lane. Take another look at the unofficial results, your top 10. How about young Ross Chastain finishing with a top 10 finish in his first start in the Camping World Truck Series? He is standing by with Hermie Sadler.
Well, you're right, Rick. To come to a place like Lucas Oil Raceway, your first ever start, get a top 10. First of all, congratulations on a solid debut here in the Camping World Truck Series.
Thank you, sir. Means a lot.
Don't use sir, please. My dad's at home.
Well, I have a lot of respect, but no, we ran a good race. Just got to get a little better strategy next time. Followed our teammate, third truck to pit. Good lap times, good team effort. 5 more laps, been third.
Well, you guys did some testing, I heard, at Motor Mile Speedway. The next question is, after you get a top 10 finish, when can we expect to see you again, and what needs to take place for you to get back on the racetrack for another start?
That's a really good question. This is a one-race deal with Turn 1 Racing. We're really happy here. Really hope we can put something together. Really like the crew and Doug and everybody. Just really I hope we can work this out and get everything going. Looking bright. So but nothing planned. So we'll see.
Well, that's Ross Chastain. He told me they were hoping for a top 20 finish. He comes on with a solid top 10 in his debut start.
And we talked about the youth movement. That young man is just 18 years old in a very impressive performance.
And he called Hermie sir. That was
out of respect, of course. Yeah. Take a look at our forward-point standings. Austin Dillon just 4 back now from Johnny Sauter. James Busher within striking distance with 20 points back. Timothy Peters, that win puts him right back into this championship hunt.
Yeah, how about making a statement? Let me get back in this championship hunt here. Give me a win and only 22 points behind. And guys, we have 12 to go.
I know, Phil, and just look at some of the players that are starting to really emerge. Guys that are fighting toward the front. Cole Witt up in the 5th spot. Matt Crafton, after 6 races outside the top 10, now he's back up there fighting hard for the championship lead. Joey Coulter's a guy that could be a championship contender before this year's over as well.
And remember, Ron Hornaday had a 25-point penalty this year. He would only be 27 points out had it not been for that penalty.
And how about that? No rain here at Lucas Oil Raceway to end this one up. It ended under green flag conditions. The next time we get onto the racetrack will be at Long Pond, Pennsylvania, Pocono Raceway next Saturday. That one gets underway at 12:30 p.m. Racing under the lights on a short track, especially like this, there's just nothing better.
It sure doesn't get a whole lot better than that. What great drama we had throughout this race, especially at the end. Were they going to make it on fuel? Were they not going to make it on fuel?
Drama and battles, 3 wide, even 4 wide at times. These guys were all over one another. That's on the 1st or 2nd lap there.
110 laps to go. The guy who spins, gets sideways, has to come to pit road, has enough fuel, has the best tires, and he goes right to victory lane. Congratulations, Timothy Peters.
Next week, the Camping World Truck Series visits the Tricky Triangle of Pocono Raceway. Last year was the first ever truck race at Pocono, and Elliott Sadler took home his first truck win. With the youth movement in full swing, will it be time for another first-time winner? Tune in to find out. Chris Devoda hosts the setup starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by flag-to-flag coverage, only on Speed.